Folks, I was going to lose my shit if the Warriors lost tonight. I got to get fix this background because in just a moment, my good friend Larry Krueger is going to join the program. It's going to be a party because it ain't just Krueger joining the show. Frank Red's coming. Ryan Smith's coming. I wish I could say Dan Coach Emilio was coming as well, but he big leagued us tonight. Nonetheless, while we wait for everyone else to show up, let's play a show open. Let's give some love to our sponsors. And in just a moment, Larry, Frank, and Ryan will join me. We're talking Warriors. It's a celebratory night. Still a little too close for comfort. They did start this game 14-2 down. They weren't winning 14-2. They were losing 14-2. But this team took care of business tonight. Stephen Curry's back. The wins are back. They needed to win this game for playoff purposes. The Warriors have just 9 games remaining on the schedule. Let's break it all down next. It's the Krug Show. And folks, if you're part of the Krug Show audience, I assure you Larry will be joining us in just a second. You won't just be stuck with this ugly mug right here. So Larry Krueger, Frank Red, Ryan Smith, yours truly. Let's get into it. I'm going to play Revitalized Open for the Golden Days audience. Hope you're okay with that. It's the Golden Days, and it's the Krug Show. Here we go.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win.
We are going to win the championship.
Let's go.
In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up.
It is Friday night. Woo! That's always good. Welcome to the Krug Show. Welcome to Golden Days. While we wait for Larry to join the program, we're still waiting on Frank Red and Ryan Smith as well. But right now, you got yours truly, Cyrus Saatsaz. You can follow me on Threads and Instagram at DogWild. Over on Twitter, my handle is Surf Journalist. The program, my program, Golden Days, available on both platforms at Golden Days Pod. You can follow Larry Krueger on Twitter, and I think all social media platforms at Sports Larry K. I see Frank Red in the green room. He's going to join me in just a second, along with everyone else. First and foremost, though, got to give some love to the sponsors paying the bills for Golden Days. First up is Visit Humboldt, an incredible travel destination. You know, I'm actually going to bring Frank Red on the show right now for this reason. Frank, it is good to see you, my friend.
Likewise.
How the hell are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic, man.
I love it. I love it. Frank, I brought you on during this ad read because I'm curious to know. I asked this of everybody who's new to the program as in terms of being a guest.
Right.
Have you ever traveled that far north? Frank, you are a Bay Area. I don't know if you're born and raised here, enlighten me and everyone else, but you know Northern California. You've lived here for a damn long time. Have you ever driven north to the real Northern California, Humboldt County?
Absolutely. Yes. I had a really good friend who lived up there in Point Arena, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So I would go up there. I've been up there a couple of times. One of the most beautiful scenic views on the planet. You literally can see the fish hopping out of the ocean. Literally, imagine being on a freeway that close to the Pacific Ocean. So yeah, I've driven that area quite a few times, and it's really breathtaking for those who have not done so.
It is. And what's even crazier is you mentioned Point Arena. I think that's actually Mendocino County, technically. And the further north you get, the greener it gets, in my opinion, the more beautiful it gets. Check out visithumboldt.com if you want to know about places to stay, things to do. I used to call the area home for 2 years as a former student at Humboldt State University. They call that school now, Frank, Cal Poly Humboldt. I'm never going to get over that. But nonetheless, if you ever need my help in terms of just an itinerary of amazing, fun things to do in Humboldt County from a local's perspective, I used to call that place home. Hit me up, send me a DM, and I'll take care of you. Otherwise, go check out the website, visithumboldt.com. Today's episode also brought to you by BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform. And we're in the middle of March Madness right now. Even if your bracket is busted, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with a free, that's right, free Sweet 16 bracket plus live betting on every remaining tournament game with the largest selection of odds on everything from hoops, whether it's college or NBA, Baseball is now up and running. I believe we had some opening days today, I think. NHL, MMA, and so much more. Golf, tennis. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline. The game starts here. You can, Frank, tell the audience, how can people follow you on social media?
You can follow me at Big Frank Red on X, Twitter. You can listen to me on a weekly basis or in the Dungeon Show. I usually broadcast on Sunday nights. I got a very loyal and intelligent following.
I believe it.
I mean, the more the merrier. So give us a listen. But yeah, every Sunday night I broadcast, and you know, when I get an invitation from someone like yourself, I might pop on during the week. But still having a great time. I've actually done, at this point, 136 podcasts
Of the Dungeon?
Yes. Yeah.
Love it. You're up and let people know, how can people, when do you have your shows, and how can people find them on, I'm guessing, YouTube?
Well, definitely once a week. But again, as the topics get more and more present in our minds, i.e. NBA playoffs, I'll do some shows throughout the week. But definitely on Sunday nights is when I generally guarantee the listeners that I will broadcast. And again, the spelling is a little different. Maybe we'll get that up a little later, but it's ENTHA DungeonShow.com.
Beautiful. Yeah. And this is a follow-up to a show they used to host on what they call terrestrial radio, the old school radio dial. Like, you used to be a radio broadcaster, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. For over 10 years, I was a weekly host, Oakland Raiders pre and post game show host at KHTK, which is 1140.
Yes,
a lot of my friends are still up there. I mean, we had great success. I owe everything to the Sacramento market, to be quite honest with you, because they made us number one for a decade. You know, the show was unheard of. It was cutting edge. We mixed sports talk with music. I'm an artist myself, so a lot of people know me from that regard, and just had a lot of fun. I had total reign. It was like doing online radio before that was a big thing, because I could do whatever I wanted to do. So I'm very, very privileged to have had that opportunity.
Absolutely. Hey. We got Ryan Smith joining us, besides the obvious highlight, the headliner here, Larry Krueger. Ryan, great to see you, brother. Let people know how people can find you on social media as I just show the names and handles of everyone. Good to see you, Ryan.
It's great to see you too, Cy. Tell me if my mic's too loud. I've got airport earbuds.
I think you're doing good, brother. I think.
Thank you.
You're doing good.
Yeah, you can find me on X at West Coast Smitty. I'm currently doing no shows or anything, so really you can just follow me if you want to see some pretty average tweets. Maybe the occasional pop culture tweet, the occasional Warriors tweet. Yeah, I'm not really going to do a hard sell.
So you're LIVIN in it right now. Is that fair to say? What are you doing in life since you're not currently in the media game?
So I'm working for an events company where we're putting on festivals with like podcasters. Okay. So like, for example, we've got a true crime one coming up with some of the bigger names in true crime. Last podcast on the left. I don't know if you guys know any of these people, but so yeah, I'm just kind of doing that, buying my time. I don't know if you can tell, but I actually converted the second bedroom into a full-blown gym. So
I was going to say, man,
yeah.
Are you hosting the combine behind you? Because
I am.
I'm seeing 225 pounds. Rye, can you bench 225?
I could. I'm going to nip this in the bud right now. Those are just very large 45s.
Okay. All right.
They do look good. And they look
well, 145. It's not 245s.
That's just 135.
That's 135. Okay. I'm just making
sure. It's not bad. It's So
135 is fine, but I mean that looks like Frank's working out right there.
And Larry joins us now as well. Larry, let's start with you, the star of this program. I call you the king of Bay Area sports media for very good reason. You are the man, sir. Larry, your reaction, man. The Warriors finally won after a two-game losing streak against mediocre, lesser opponents. They started bad tonight. They were down 14-2 early. Thankfully, the second half happened. They turned things around. Your immediate reaction, Larry, good to see you and everyone else.
Well, yeah, no, I'm thrilled to be here. And, I was doing Niners Nightly, so I was keeping one eye on the game and one eye on the on my radio 49ers show. So I didn't watch it as closely as I normally would. But, I mean, it was good to see Steph back out on the floor. That's one. It was obviously good for Golden State to get a win because they've struggled this week. To me, I thought it was a nice performance from Quentin Post in 18 minutes. I mean, are you kidding me? 18 minutes. He had 15 points and 6 rebounds or something.
Clutch,
like that. That was really good to see. I just like the fact that Golden State, I'll tell you the other guy that, I love watching, and I know you didn't play a lot tonight, but I love watching Guy Santos.
Yeah.
This guy just always does the energy move, the rebound, the effort. I mean, look at Guy Santos. The guy played 16 minutes off the bench. He had the best plus minus of almost anybody on the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a hustler, and he's smart, and he's kind of tough. So once again, and this is a point that I made probably on this stream maybe a week ago, so forgive me for repeating myself. But the one thing I like about the Warriors since the Jimmy Butler trade is the number of guys who go to the glass. Once again, let's count the number of Warriors that had at least 4 rebounds tonight. Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, Brandon Pajemski, Jonathan Kuminga, Kevon Looney, Quentin Post. They had 7 different players with at least 4 rebounds. And I think that team rebounding is a major, major attribute of their success. What did they love about Wiggins when they won the title? He rebounded.
Yeah.
He never really rebounded to that level since that final series. And tonight they win on the glass 50-46. They win on the offensive glass by 18-14. And I just think that the rebounding, for a team like Golden State, they're probably going to lose the points in the paint battle most nights. And if they can hold their own as far as on the glass and points in the paint, they got a chance to win all those games. And tonight they won as far as the rebounding battle. I didn't look at the points in the paint.
They tied. And Larry, they've actually been doing okay this year with points in the paint. You're right. Even though the eye test may not reveal as much, statistically, they're winning that battle most of the season, and that's largely because of Jonathan Kuminga. And Jimmy Butler gets a lot of points in the paint. You mentioned Quentin Post, Guy Santos. You're at the points in the paint tonight was a tie, I think 46-46. But let me shift gears if you guys don't mind for a second here, because I want to start the show by talking about that start. The Warriors trailed 14-2 to start this game, and this has continued a disturbing pattern. And to me, one thing I'm looking at is who's actually starting these games, right? And Steve Kerr is continuing with the small ball mantra where Draymond Green is your small ball 5, where Jimmy Butler is your starting power forward, essentially. And it's not working. One thing I'm particularly noticing is Brandon Pajemski's struggling, man. Side note, he was clearly the guy who was partying. Maybe partying is the wrong word, but he was clearly enjoying the sun in Miami. I don't know if you guys noticed that he was red from getting burned. Yeah, he was enjoying the Miami sun clearly. But when you look at his performance out there defensively, he can't stay in front of players routinely, certainly not consistently. And that's a huge issue. Offensively, he's not. I don't think he's a good enough playmaker at this stage of his career to be getting the starting nod alongside Stephen Curry, considering he's not an elite a scorer yet. He scored 10 points tonight, 1 of 7 shooting from deep, 4 of 11 from the field overall. I don't know if I like Pods continuing to start. Larry, let's start with you, and obviously I want to get everyone. Let's get everyone's opinions here. But Larry, Pajemski starting, your thoughts, because I don't like it anymore.
Well, it depends on the matchup, of course, right? Matt, it's a matchup specific thing. I kind of like Pods off the bench as well. To be completely honest, I'd rather see Kuminga start. I'd rather see Buddy Hield start. I'd rather see Pods come off the bench. And Kerr really likes him. His 3 wasn't falling tonight. He shot 1 of 7 from 3. But if he had those threes fallen, obviously he would have had a really nice night because he also had 6 rebounds. I like Podziemski, and I like his basketball IQ. I like what I'd seen from him in the last couple of weeks because he had started to look almost like a dagger thrower at the end of games. A guy who can maybe make some big shots and take some big shots. And just to see his shot come around, I mean, Frank, you and I talked about this early in the year about how I thought his shot just looked so broken. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, I'll credit the kid because, I mean, they playing, 3 nights a week, and he found a way to get in the gym between games and smooth that thing out. And in the midst of a pressure-filled season, he was able to, not in the G League, but at the NBA level, kind of bring his shot around. I love the way he's shooting it over, let's say the last 2 months compared to the first couple months. So I'm a Podziemski fan, but I think I would have brought him off the bench. I'd bring him off the bench more often, not because I'm down on him, but because I really believe in him. And what I mean by that is just that I think Podziemski is a very smart player that can blend and he understands who he's playing with and what he needs to do depending on who he's playing with. And so I like him as a bench player to be able to adapt to others more so than I like him as a starter.
Frank, your thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, he is a bit of an enigma to me, to be quite honest with you. First and foremost, I root for the kid. I'm definitely a fan. And I don't have a problem with him starting because intellectually he fits. He's a very, very intelligent basketball player, which makes the game easier for everybody. What I don't like is, sometimes he forgets who he is. He thinks he's one of those guys. It's like, dude, you're not one of those guys. Draymond, Butler, and Curry. Those are the guys. You and whomever else is out there are role players. And sometimes he feels himself like you were talking today earlier. In the third quarter, he just lifts up like 2 or 3 3-pointers when clearly those are not the shots that he should be taking. He's not a good enough shooter to just lift it like that. So the real issue with Podziemski is he knows that his rope is far longer than any of the reserve players. That pisses me off as a former player. If I was Moody, if I was Kuminga, and I see this guy coming to the organization and get a longer rope than I get just because Kerr likes him and he walks around with a certain bravado, I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? But that's partly Kerr's fault, not his. I want to see him grow into the best rendition of himself. I think he can do that, but I'm a star now. I'm pods. I can talk to the referee crap. I don't like that at all.
Ryan, what do you think about Pod so far, man?
I don't mind him starting. I kind of get it. Like because they want there to be another like primary ball handler out there besides Steph just to take it off his knees. So I don't really mind it. I'm just piggybacking off Frank's point. I mean, that was the thing that drove me nuts about him, even in his rookie season. And after his rookie season, I was saying like trade him because his value, it seems like it'll never be higher. He's got an all defensive rookie second team somehow just because he's the charge god. So the thing that would piss me off is like, it just seemed like he was just like one of those like little teacher's pets that, he'd suck up to Kerr and he'd suck up to Curry and he's sucking up to Draymond. And he was sucking up to Clay. And then, he would be an absolute dick to Wiggins. Like you'd see it pretty consistently that he would just be a dick to Wiggins. And you didn't really see Wiggins get that pissed off that many times, but there was a few times on the court where they were kind of like jawing at each other. I think that it was huge to get Butler for nothing else than obviously he brings a million different things, but I like that he kind of bumped Pods down in the alpha dog pecking order. You know what I mean? Like he is now firmly below those guys. I mean, they're going to need him in the playoffs. Absolutely. But so my question, is like, what is your ideal 5 for them?
Well, I mean, look, I don't know if Kuminga is the answer for starting, but ideally, let's say like we play along with Steve Kerr and his ideal, rotation, which is Kuminga coming off the bench, bolstering the second unit. Side note, it was encouraging tonight to see the first 2 players come off the bench being Kuminga and Quinn. Was it Kuminga and Post? Were those the first 2 that came off the bench? No, I'm sorry. It was Kuminga and Guy Santos. That should be what's happening on a night-by-night basis. Starting 5, I wouldn't mind Quentin Post being your starting center, so you're not routinely getting bullied inside. So Draymond Green is not routinely getting in foul trouble. He fouled out tonight. The Pelicans had a lineup of 2 centers out there with that Missy guy and then Kelly Olynyk. That was a lot for Draymond to handle, man. I hate seeing that. I'm not a fan of that. My ideal starting 5, if you're not starting Kuminga, is put Potts on the bench, and start and have Moses Moody be your starting 2 guard. So you're helping Steph out defensively in the backcourt. I know Moody went through a stretch here where he missed 11 threes in a row. Thankfully, snapped that. He finally made his 12th three-point attempt tonight. But typically, he's a good three-point shooter. The stats confirm that. So I want Moody. I would like Moody, I guess, as my starting 2 guard. I'd like Quentin Post starting as your center. So your starting 5 would be Curry, Moody, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Quentin Post. And then you bring the second unit where Podziemski is your point guard, Kuminga, Guy Santos. I wouldn't even mind Guy Santos being like playing a bigger role as a ball handler, because he can't handle that. He was a point guard playing in Brazil, but that's my ideal 5, right? And Larry, what are your thoughts on that? Or maybe I should go back to Ryan. I don't know, but I go to Larry. What do you think
about your ideal 5?
Yeah,
I think it's horse S. No. No.
And that's our show tonight. There you go. Nice. Thank you, everyone.
I think it's embarrassing. I think you should apologize to the audience and never return again. Disband your channel and leave it all right here. No. Exactly. A wrap. That's a wrap. The lineup isn't, if you have a clear delineation between your starters and your bench, and not every roster does, then it's real easy. If you have a bunch of guys at different points and it's really kind of a dealer's choice, then it's a debatable thing every night. And I think you have to defer to Kerr, who obviously is wearing multiple rings. And I know deferring to Kerr is not one of your favorite things.
No.
But I do think there is some, deference that has to be paid to Kerr and his feel of the situation, considering when you do have 7 or 8 or 9, guys who realistically could be in that starting lineup. So I think it's a challenging thing, the way they've constructed their roster, to, where they've got some guys who they could, like Moses Moody. I think there's no doubt if he had been brought along differently than Kerr and the Warriors have brought him along, there's many, many, many places, I think, around this league where he would be a better player today if he had been in any of those places. If you put him on another team, I think he's a better player today than he is right now. So, what does that mean? I guess I'm saying that I think Moody should play more. I don't think it's right that Podziemski has this kind of license that these other guys don't have.
Yes. Yeah.
What did he ever? His dad paid Santa Clara tuition. I mean, what exactly is he? Why is he? The chosen one. He's a guy who I see a guy who can't finish at the rim, and early in the year couldn't make an outside shot. So it's like, dude, it's like the Office Space line. What would you say you do here? You know what I mean? Because if you can't make an outside shot and you're him and you can't finish in the trees inside, it's like, what are you doing on the floor in the fourth quarter of games other than to rebound or cycle it around? And you got to rebounding and cycling it around. Does that get you minutes in the fourth quarter?
It shouldn't.
I think, it sucks because Moody, I think, is partly been disrespected because he's an easygoing guy with a professional attitude and demeanor. And he's never going to embarrass or confront Kerr or any of the coaches or make a scene. And I just don't like that. I don't like it in amateur sports when, the coach, Frank, we've all seen this, right? Where there's a kid whose parents don't complain, or maybe his parents don't even come to the games and he doesn't complain. And it's easy for you to just bench that kid, where there's some other kid that as soon as you bench him, his dad's going to be in your face. His mom's going to be emailing you. The kid's going to be MFing you. And it's human nature to try to avoid confrontation. So I I don't like the fact that I feel like Moody is not in there because he gets along, because he will go along to get along, and that's not the way it should be.
Agreed. Ryan, I want to go back to you real fast here, and then Frank, because Ryan, you asked me what my ideal starting five was. Your response to that, and what would be your ideal starting five for this team? Do you like the way things are now?
I don't mind the way they are right now. Something just tells me it's just not sustainable to be rocking this 6-7 max lineup. When I start like going through the West, and it's like you think about even like the Lakers, like if anybody gets on TV and talks about the Lakers and their jarring weakness, they're like, oh, well, they don't have a center. They don't have any type of size inside. But it's also like they also have Luka and LeBron, who are both like 6'8", like 280. And Rui and like Reeves is a pretty big guard. Like they're still very big. And it's like the fact that we're rolling out there with like Dre and Jimmy as our 6'7" guys. Also, GP2 is sorely missed. He's the best big small guy in the league. The guy's a monster, monster power forward. So he also was sorely missed today. I don't really know if I have the answer. I do think about like those lineups where they were starting like Santos and stuff when they were really going on a run before Pajemski and Kuminga were back. And those are a little bit enticing now in hindsight. I love Santos. He is just like the spiritual continuation of Juan Toscano Anderson.
Frank, what do you think, brother?
Yeah, I think sometimes Pose's shooting prowess hides some of the deficiencies that, like what Rye's talking about, that could be the Warriors' detriment in the playoffs, because for whatever reason, Kerr is unwilling to give Jackson Davis an opportunity. If Post is making his shots, then he's a valuable asset, but he's atrocious defensively, and that should not be the case for someone that long and that tall. He goes after block shots. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about establishing your place on the interior. He's strong enough. He needs to utilize better technique. And I blame the Warrior coaches for that, because he probably has the highest foul per minute played than any Warrior player, at the very least in the top 2 or 3. And that's coaching. So long term, if he's going to be a good NBA player, it's because he's a two-way guy. We're masking some of the deficiencies because he has a phenomenal skill to shoot from the outside, particularly in the corners and from the free throw line beyond. That's great. But the Warriors would be a better team in what Ryan is alluding to if they had more strength, more defensive presence on the interior, not named Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler. I look at Quentin Post, and he's a guy who I think can contribute if he's on the floor, if he's playing the game right. And that's why you see Draymond yelling at him a lot, because he makes a lot of mistakes. But that's partly coaching.
No, and Frank, I'm so glad you brought that up, and it's a huge reason why, Larry, when you bring up the deference to Steve Kerr, I don't have any of that. I lost trust and lost faith, and when it comes to his personnel decisions, it's where I've completely lost faith, and also with developing youth. This leads to Jonathan Kuminga tonight, who I thought played fantastic basketball. Steve Kerr said just a day earlier that he was going to basically pick up the GP2 role, revealing that Jonathan Kuminga's minutes were diminished largely because of Gary Payton II. That's where the minutes were going. Whether you agree or disagree with that, I side note wholeheartedly disagree with that. And tonight was a perfect example of why. Kuminga is such a dynamic player, ball handler, passer. He can get to the rim at will. And I hope that knee bruise he suffered tonight, side note, is not a big deal. He left the game early, but in the minutes that he did play, Jonathan Kuminga, 22 minutes, 59 seconds, 5 of 9 from the field, 16 points, 6 of 8 shooting from the free throw line. This is one of many aspects of his game that I don't think is mentioned enough, how often he gets to that line, because that helps your defense. It stops the action and prevents transition points, which other teams are routinely taking advantage of for the Warriors. But this brings up, I think, a very important point, Frank, when it comes to Steve Kerr and coaching, which is that we've seen Kerr now in his 10th, 11th year as the head coach of the Warriors, never fully develop a player. And you've seen lately Jonathan Kuminga as a polarizing figure. You have fans that no matter what this guy does, unless he performs like tonight, nearly flawless, You could criticize him for going 0 for 2 for deep if you want, but again, 16.7 rebounds, 3 assists in 22 minutes, 59 seconds. He was huge. And with all that said, though, no one seems to point the finger at Kerr when it comes to Kuminga not figuring it out. Moses Moody's in year 4 not figuring it out. Brandon Pajemski's in year 2 getting more minutes than anybody I've ever seen as a young player. Jordan Poole hitting a ceiling early and him handling that fiasco between Draymond and Poole. Kevon Looney, a first-round pick. We've seen his ceiling. He's never going to be an all-star. I love Looney, but whether or not he's reached his peak, we'll never know. Largely, I think, because of Steve Kerr. Larry, why do you have such deferential to Steve Kerr, brother? I have to ask you this, because I know he's won the 4 rings, but you look at the Warriors the last 5-6 years. You look at the lack of development for youth. You look at the 37, 38 different starting lineups we've seen this year. Why are you so faithful with this guy, man?
I think it's the short blonde hair, and I really like his polo shirts. What do you mean? It's the 4 freaking rings. It's the parades. It's like I gotta sit there. My donut guy here in Walnut Creek's always like Kerr. He's always like Kerr sucks. I'm like, dude, there's been 4 parades. CK, what's the deal? And
do you not think that's a Stephen Curry show, and more so than Steve Kerr?
They didn't have any parades, with Mark Jackson and Steph. So I don't know. I mean, that's unfair, but you know what I'm saying. I first of all, I think Steve Kerr's a great coach. Now, part of what makes Steve Kerr a great coach is because what is a coach? It's a middle manager, right? He's a middle manager
in the NBA. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in all sports, really. I mean, unless you're, Kyle Shanahan, I guess, is at the top of the masthead. But for the most part, coaches are middle managers. They have a boss who's the GM, the capologist, or the owner, or whatever. And then they've got but they're in the foxhole with their guys, the players. So they're middle managers, but they have to get something out of the guys they're traveling with and are close to. But they also have to be loyal to their bosses and the people who run the team. It's a very complicated thing, I think. I think it's a much more difficult tap dance than you realize. Fair. And then also Steve is best at, he brings the whole group along as far as he doesn't just leave guys. He may not play them a lot, but he brings the whole group along because he was a bench player, and I think he's really good at that. So his team's like, why did the Warriors win the last title they won? Because they didn't fracture. There were other teams that were as good as them easily that year, but those teams did fracture. And by the time we got to June, it was like, hey, Warriors were the last team standing, and they deserved the ring. But that's what Kerr's great at. What's the genius of Kerr? He keeps the group together. He brings everybody along. But also on a team like this, where you have a bunch of similar players and depth, you're going to have what the fuck conversations every night, right? What the hell's going on here? Why not this guy? Why that guy? And I'm not saying that he's always right, because I don't think he's always right. I'm there with you 25, 30% of the time, questioning a lot of the things. But overall, when you look at his track record, he's the Olympic coach. He's won 4 rings. He brings the whole group along.
Except Jason Tatum.
He's found a way to do, to keep think about what just happened this year. They found a way to add in the stretch run one of the most volatile personalities in the league, a guy who was absolutely a nightmare for the Heat, and he blended in, and they've just been incredible. So I think you got to give Kerr's rotations, question them all day, every day, and I'm probably there with you. Kerr, as far as the overarching guide of this team from Halloween to the 4th of July, trying to win a title, I think there's very few who are better.
That's fair. Frank, what are your thoughts on what Larry just said?
I totally agree with him. And I want to say this. I think Kerr is a brilliant coach. He's a guy who, if you're really a student of the game, you're going to get better. But it's tough being a young player playing for Kerr, because Kerr is stubborn and he has a very narrow scope of how he wants to play basketball. You look at the last couple of games. The offense is totally tailored for Stephen Curry. When Stephen Curry's not there, you need to play a high pick and roll offense and driving downhill, getting to the basket. He refuses to do that. So Kerr, like a lot of great coaches, my favorite coach of all time, Phil Jackson was very stubborn. Kerr is stubborn, and that's what you have. But in terms of organizationally, in terms of intellectually and socially, getting his players to grow and all of these things that matter to me, I think he's fantastic. But his assistant coaches, in my opinion, as you guys are alluding to, I don't see the development of all of the players. I mean, they punished Trace Jackson Davis for not being able to use his right hand. How can he be a professional basketball player and not be able to use his right hand or not play with maximum intensity? That's not all on this kid or those players. Other organizations do a better job at that. Miami Heat took a kid who was average at best in Indiana, 7'1". He looks like he could be defensive player of the year.
Yeah. Missy's another one with the Pelicans, right? Missy's another one who
Khalil Ware is that his name?
Yes, there's no excuse for that.
Yeah.
Bill M in the chat dropping $10 saying that he's going to point it out for me. I guess I need enlightenment here. Kerr certainly earned his stripes, but with the young guns, he sucks. Kuminga getting 23 minutes tonight. Now, granted, again, Kuminga's minutes were limited, I think, largely because of the knee bruise that he suffered. He probably would have hit 30 minutes tonight. But Podziemski, again, here's my primary issue with Kerr. I agree in the sense that Kerr is brilliant implementing what we call the system, right? I think that was the large compliment for Greg Popovich for a large number of years. He's got the system. The system is phenomenal. Wholeheartedly agree with that. I think, though, Steve Kerr, one thing that drives me crazy, for example, and Ryan, I'll throw it to you here, is he has this massive, borderline obsession, a reliance on ball handlers. I think it's a huge reason why Brandon Podziemski plays. It's a huge reason why Ty Jerome was getting minutes 2 years ago over Moses Moody. I think it's a huge reason why last year Corey Joseph was getting minutes over Moses Moody. He loves his ball handlers. For whatever reason, he thinks at NBA basketball is like high school basketball, where you need this facilitator, this guy to calm things down out there as a ball handler. When I don't agree with that at all. In the NBA, these are like the elite of elite. They can handle dribbling a basketball. They can handle bringing a ball up to half court, and then you implement the system at that point. Anyways, you don't need ball handlers at that point. I think that is a chink in Steve Kerr's coaching armor. Otherwise, I think the system's fantastic. Rye, what are your thoughts on all this, man?
Yeah, it's a funny one. Also, first of all, have you done a mea culpa about Ty Jerome? Because what the hell?
No, hell no. No, Ryan, he was a minus 92 that year for the Warriors. He didn't play at all last year. Cleveland is playing in an Eastern Conference where the opponents are mediocre, and he's on a stacked team, and so we're suddenly going to pretend he's an amazing guy because he's putting up good numbers for 1 year in his life? Hell no, no mea culpa for me.
I'm not coming at you about it. Not coming at you about it.
You can if you want. I don't care. I'm not going to mea culpa that. Hell no.
I was more just thinking it's hilarious. This guy was a literal punching bag that we all were going after. It's why is he playing this guy? And now this guy's he might win sixth man of the year. He's 13 a game, 50, 43, 90 or something. But yeah, it's weird. Kerr, he's so good at coaching the top end talent, all the superstars, why he's amazing with the Olympics. And that was a great point about Jimmy Butler. I mean, Butler's came in here, fit seamlessly. They came up with some really smart concepts with how to use him. So the fact that he can handle those top end guys, that's a huge plus for the NBA, where those guys run the league. And then he's not good with the super raw dudes with crazy ability. Those guys he can't develop at all. But he is very good at getting the guys that, basically pretty mid players that are ball handlers that are borderline NBA players. He loves those guys. He usually gets those guys to play well. He also gets the hustle. I can't believe this guy's even in the NBA. Oh my God, now he's contributing in a major way type guys like Juan Toscano-Anderson, Guy Santos. So it's just the guy. It's just the super raw, freak shows that he can't quite seem to, which is it. Honestly, it reminds me a little bit of Shanahan. I just feel like Shanahan just wants his Brock Purdy. He wants, and that's no diss to Purdy. I love Purdy, but he wants that build type. He wants the Kirk Cousins build type. He doesn't want whatever I don't know what the Kuminga of quarterbacks is. I'm not quite sure. I don't think he would have done great with Jordan Love. I don't think he would have been able to develop Jordan Love. All right, now we're mixing.
Jordan Love.
Yeah,
I like Jordan Love a lot. Larry, what did you think? I know you didn't get a chance to watch a lot of the game tonight. I also didn't realize you were doing a show on KNBR tonight. I thought that was a seasonal thing. My apologies for that. Is it free agency? Is that the topic that you're hammering on every night from 6 to 7 on KNBR?
Yeah, we're talking NFL draft. I mean, we're basically anything connected to the Niners. We're talking about. Yeah.
I love it. My apologies for that. From what you did watch, though, like, what did you think of Kuminga? Because I thought he looked good, and I thought tonight was a reminder that when he has a loose leash, he can thrive. It's when he's constantly looking over his shoulder, like waiting for Kerr to pull him out because he made one mistake. It's hard for a player to develop and be confident and comfortable in a scenario like that. Tonight, the leash was off for the most part, and I thought he thrived. If you had a chance to watch, would love your sentiments.
Well, I mean, to me, he's still not nearly as big a percentage of the team that he as he needs to be. I mean, this is the best young talent you have, and he only takes 9 shots. And I'll say this though. I mean, he actually.
8 free throws.
How many times has Jimmy Butler, since Jimmy Butler has come to the Warriors, led the Warriors in free throw attempts?
It's either him or Kuminga. It's usually one or the other. Yeah.
But I'm saying that's the beauty of a guy like Kuminga is that, and this is why I was really adamant about. I mean, I was like basically saying I'm not a Warrior fan because I thought they were going to trade Kuminga for KD.
Yeah, I remember
a couple days before the deadline, and I was like, no, absolutely not, absolutely atrocious. And I just really feel like Kuminga is mentally screwed over by this whole thing. I mean, he played 23 minutes. He's got it reined in, right? He took 9 shots. He made 5. He only took 2 threes. Because they're probably encouraging him not to take as many. He did get drive inside and he got to the line 8 times. He made 6 of 8. He did grab 7 rebounds. But I just see a guy who could be so much more if they would somehow be able to build up this kid's confidence. I mean, he should be taking more shots. He should be playing more minutes. He should be having a greater impact. And I think he should be a dominant lockdown type defender. And none of those things have really happened with any consistency. So he's so cognizant. And this is the one part I don't like about Kerr. Let Kuminga and Moody have the loose leash and let them go. And then let this veteran team with all these high IQ players, Green, Butler, Curry, Pods, Looney, play off those guys. Instead, they make these young guys kind of play efficiently around their veterans, and it's stifling them, and it's not giving them the license that they need to really thrive. If this team's going to go where they want to go, conference finals, NBA finals, Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody are going to have a massive role in them getting there. And if they don't have a massive role, they aren't getting there. Okay. So I would say is I've been saying it a bunch of times. And if Kerr were sitting here, I would say it to him. Kuminga and Moody are still relatively young men. They don't have the ability to seamlessly play off of all these proud veterans and future Hall of Famers, and strike the perfect balance every single night. So let those guys go. Let those guys have more license to shoot, drive, and to kind of, push their game on the rest of the team, and let the rest of the guys play off of them as opposed to the other way around. That's how I feel like is the Warriors' one shot at reaching the finals is if Kuminga and Moody are massive contributors, and
Agreed.
They don't seem like I don't think they agree with that. Or if they do agree with that, I don't know that carries through when it comes time to, go through the rotations and put guys on the floor.
By the way, before we continue, Larry, you have sponsors. I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to solicit that from you. Who's paying your bills? Please give them love.
Well, of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. We're brought to you by Mancini's Sleep World. You can save 10% at any Mancini's location if you just use my exclusive code Krug10. Krug10. We're also brought to you by Claw Daddy Arcades, and we're also brought to you by Learn Keys Upskill Academy, which is a online learning platform where people can get, they can, it's designed to get you job ready in 6 months or less with training. And it's a great resource for people who are either unemployed, underemployed, between jobs, not doing the job they want to do. So it's all there. And thanks to all of them for being proud sponsors of the Krug Show.
Frank, any sponsors you want to read off tonight?
My mother. That's about it.
I think that's the best one right there. Rye, anybody you want to give a shout out to? Any sponsors? Anything?
I'll shout out my dog Ringo. He's still kicking, coming near 10. It's still just a youthful, beautiful
Attaboy, Ringo. I love the name too, Ringo. Gentlemen, I need your help here for a second. What is a fake pussy? Because Kai17, who I thought was a friend, but apparently that's over. Kai17 calling me a fake pussy.
I've always called you that, but I left off the fake, and I don't know. Oh no, I'm just joking.
Keep in mind, this is the same schmuck who wrote tonight that Pajemski is better than both Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. So this is the level or lack thereof of intellect we're dealing with. But a fake pussy, because apparently I disrespect Ty Jerome and the awful year he played for the Warriors in 2023. And following up by saying this man's going to be sixth man of the year, regardless of whether he wins sixth man of the year. And actually that made me look up who are past sixth men of the year winners just to see if that's actually a brag. 2 years ago, Malcolm Brogdon was sixth man of the year. Last year, Naz Reid was sixth man of the year. Jordan Clarkson was sixth man of the year 4 years ago. Montrezl Harrell was sixth man of the year 5 years ago. It ain't the brag you think it is. I still bring up the fact that a minus 92 was Ty Jerome's net rating. He was a turnstile defensively for the Warriors. Did not play at all last year. So if you're advocating for Ty Jerome being on the Warriors still, you would have paid him a salary to do nothing all of last year. And again, he's doing all this as a backup guard on a stacked, huge Cavs team that plays in the East and who hasn't accomplished a damn thing when it matters most, and that's the postseason.
What's a bigger rip? What's a bigger rip? A fake pussy or you're a genuine pussy?
A fake pussy.
Did we check out the photo there? What's going on there? Is that?
I don't know. Frank, what's up, brother?
Well, I mean, let me say this, man, because it's kind of a funny topic. We joked about it the last couple of years. Ty Jerome, in most people's mind, would never play in the NBA. He went to Steppenwolf High School in Yonkers in New York. Tough-minded young man. Won a national championship at Virginia. Was on a two-way contract with the Warriors and actually had some moments. He helped the Warriors win some games. With that said, what is he? He's a solid rotational backup player at best. But that's a lot in professional basketball. So I'm not making this guy out to be who's the guy with brain fart with Villanova? My guy, I love him on Minnesota now.
Oh, Mikal Bridges?
No.
Dante DiVincenzo.
My guy. He's
no, for the Knicks, you mean?
Yes. I mean, right. He's not Dante DiVincenzo.
Oh,
Dante
DiVincenzo.
But because he's a very intelligent player, he was able to take that knowledge that he learned from the Warriors and actually utilize it quite well in Cleveland because they're different there. So, I mean, a lot of these cats, they want to rib you because, you had your opinions on him. I've always thought he was a decent backup rotational player. That's what he is. That's all he is. But know what? Those guys probably accumulate somewhere between $30 to $50 million throughout their career. Not bad.
It's a lot of money, by the way. I'll take one. I'll just take one of those million. Just I'll give me that, and I'll shut up and go away for life. By the way, did you guys? I don't know if you guys saw this clip. Jeff Teague has become one of the greatest storytellers imaginable, and this clip is him talking about Kenny Atkinson, who was his former coach in Brooklyn and who now is the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Got to play this because this is a Kenny Atkinson story. I still don't know a lot about Kenny. He's a bit of an enigma to me. I don't know about you folks, but let's listen to the story real fast, and I'd love to get you guys' reaction. Here's Jeff Teague talking about playing for Kenny Atkinson.
He was playing for Brooklyn, and the point guard was Isaiah Whitehead. People that know me, I talk shit all day. So I'm talking shit to Kenny. I'm like, you got to get this motherfucker out of here. He can't play. And Kenny like, y'all shut the fuck up. This motherfucker can. And he pointed at Spence, and I'm like, what? He's going to be starting from here on out. I tell you that. Watch. Kenny seen something.
He used to hoop with you. You should really like be in the trenches. Like sometimes it was crazy and he got hurt doing it. He tore his quad one time doing that shit. But
damn,
Jared Allen, when we was all kids, basically tore his shit.
Kenny out of pocket.
Kenny doing one. Jared Allen's great.
Like trying to really like Kobe clear out. Like
I used to play Kenny every day, but he used to play with no shoes.
Oh, I didn't see that
from?
Oh no, he used to play barefoot.
Excuse me?
I swear to God.
Kenny American?
Oh my Kenny.
Where that came from?
Man, you do your drills, he'll guard you the whole drill. Yeah. 3-on-3 with us. Everything.
Kenny got the lemon pepper stepper. That boy out there hooping with no socks on.
Kenny was
That boy got the real grip.
I ain't gonna lie. He took me. I was right here. I was just making it in the league. I was starting. I got with Kenny. Made the all-star saying Kenny left. Start cruising again. My right-handed guy, y'all ever meet Kenny Atkinson? Y'all can ask me. He used to play with no shoes.
What are your thoughts on that? Larry, I'll start with you, man. The no shoes thing alone is wild to me. What's your reaction? You're muted.
Between reading all the comments and then listening, it's like it was so fast. I was losing some of it. But so basically what he was saying was that when Kenny was coaching him, he did well, but when Kenny left, he was Kenny is, according to the NBA Players Survey, Kenny Atkinson has been one of the best assistant coaches in the NBA for the last 5 or 6 years.
I saw that too. Yeah,
and the players feel that way, and obviously the GMs feel that way. And he's obviously pretty coveted. I couldn't really speak to. I have never had a conversation with Kenny, so I really can't tell you much about what I think of him dialogue wise. But he's got a good resume, and he looks engaged when you saw him on the bench. Other than that, I really don't know what to say about him.
The whole Frank, you played D1, right? Fordham,
yeah.
D1. Like when you heard that story, what did you think? Because the no shoes thing alone tripped me out. What was your reaction to that video?
I thought that was weird, but I actually think I played. I think I played against Kenny Atkinson in high school.
Did you really?
Yeah, he was in our league. I think he went to St. Anthony's. I played at St. Agnes. Never lost to him, by the way. But
I like that brag. I like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, all these kids, a lot of these guys, we all played in the same league. But you know what? He's renowned for actually helping Jeremy Lin ascend to the highest level. Jeremy Lin gives him a lot of credit for, working him out and building his confidence and stuff like that. So he has a good reputation. He was a good player too. He was a very good player. Played at Richmond. Playing with no shoes against pros, I don't know what that's about. Is that like some Aaron Rodgers dark room basketball stuff? I don't know.
Frank, who's the greatest New York City playground legend?
Wow, man.
I know a lot of people would say Kenny Anderson was.
I mean, Kenny. I didn't play against Kenny.
Archbishop Malloy, right?
Yeah, Kenny was awesome. I've never seen a kid that young, that good. But I would say Pearl Washington was probably the best that I've seen. I mean, we scrimmaged him.
Kobe Bryant showed up one year, and I'll always respect him for that because not every player does that, right? Showing up to those New York playgrounds to play real basketball, in my opinion. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, Pearl was awesome. Kenny Anderson, man, when I see him now kind of reflecting because he's kind of matured, and I go, wow, he played 13, 14 years in the NBA. There's nothing that you can say other than he had a successful career. But you're talking about a guy who was literally like Kendrick Lamar as a basketball player at such a young age. If I was going to make that a music analogy, he was Kendrick Lamar as a 15-year-old. Unbelievable. I mean, I should see him and Kenny Smith playing when he was in high school. And there's all like, this is my little brother. No. Kenny had to play because Kenny Anderson was that good. So he's the best young player I've seen. But you know what? Jason Kidd was better than him. I saw Jason Kidd in high school.
Yeah, I did too.
So did I. Yeah. Yep.
Unbelievable.
Best
very nice.
vision.
He was a
Best
legend
court
here in
vision.
the area as a high school player at St. Joe, right in
Oh
Oakland.
yeah. Oh, he was awesome.
But not only that, he played in the summer pro-am as a high school kid. I believe
And Cal.
against
Yeah.
guys
He did.
like Snake Jones and guys who were 40 years old. But Kid's vision was always amazing. Like Kidd is the guy that literally would bounce the ball off your head if you ran the floor and didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
What did you think, by the way? So sorry, am I cutting you off?
No, I'll hit a couple points on the Jason Kidd thing. I remember growing up playing CYO, and then it was like you'd get to the Oakland Diocese tournament, you'd advance to that, and
I
then
never
there
got
was like
that far.
there was
you made it that far?
Oh yeah, championships.
You're talking about the TOC, right? At the Coliseum.
I don't think it's at the
Tournament of
Coliseum.
Champions in that. I remember TOC, like, 1 year, I forget, it was like Amador Valley with this guy Larson. You had the LA schools would come up, Emmanuel Arts, and all the schools from down there. Dwayne Poley was a great player for Emmanuel Arts back in the 80s. Now we're going deep polls.
Yeah, this was like CYU, so it's like elementary and middle school. And but I remember they had a booklet there, and it was like if you ever score 20 points in a game, you get in this booklet. And so you look at the booklet, and it is like the highest scores or highest points totals ever in the Oakland Diocese championship or whatever playoffs. And it was like Jason Kidd. And it was like 37, 35, and it's just like those games, like nobody scores 35 or 40 in a CYO game. It just doesn't happen. So I just remember thinking that was sick. I will say on the Kenny Atkinson front, on the no shoes front, that's menacing. If you are like, imagine if you're like you're like an NBA player and you're like, oh, I'm like this is a joke. My coach is trying to guard me, like he's trying to, and he just breaks out the bare feet, like he's that confident. That's like some samurai shit. I hope. Sorry. But on the Atkinson thing, so the weird thing, he was so good in Brooklyn before, KD and all them came. And then I saw that comment, and then they got Nash in there. But it was like he got D'Angelo Russell to where people were like, oh my God, D'Angelo Russell is like amazing. Point. And remember, it was like
good point. That's great call.
He was like having all those game winners, and he was just an absolute monster that year. And then all of us, and so you'd hear like he's like the best player development guy. And then he went to the Warriors, and I was kind of expecting him to like, I thought he was going to be like the missing piece to like develop all these guys. It just didn't really happen. But now he's like, off gangbusters with the Cavs. So,
well, the Warriors part of it, Larry brought up how, you never had a chance to interview him. No one did. I'm in close contact with a lot of the beat writers. You have to be if you're going to do this job effectively.
You're not tier one.
I'm not, even though I'm not tier one. You're absolutely right.
Sorry.
Ryan Leong is though. So we do have an insider there. But yeah, I'm not.
Look at that. Larry, tier one. Dare to dream.
Yeah, so I got connections with the tier one folks, even though I'm a lesser.
You're not tier one, but you know a guy who's tier
exactly.
one.
That's but I'm not big time enough for tier one. No, and in reality, tier one is you got to be there like every night to get the tier one access. Anyways, I digress. But going back to Kenny Atkinson, he wouldn't even do interviews with the beat reporters. Like he was an enigma the entire time he was here. I know he was defensive coordinator. That was the job he was given, and maybe. In hindsight, when we see the way he handles young players, maybe he was misused. I don't know. But the whole thing was a mystery. No one got to know him when he was here, and he's having success in Cleveland. So there you go. I just thought that was still kind of crazy. Going back to this game, again, a game that the Warriors thankfully won, 111-95. We're going to talk about the standings and where the Warriors are as a result of this. But Jimmy Butler, until this road trip, he was on a honeymoon with the team, and I feel like the honeymoon's over. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that. The Atlanta game, he laid a dud. Miami, a game that I expected way more out of him than what we got. He did have a bit of a bounce back game tonight, under the radar. Like it wasn't like a noteworthy highlight reel type of night for Butler, but 18 points for him. He was 5 of 7 from the free throw line, which again, him and Kuminga are pretty much the only two guys consistently getting to the line, and that is very important. Again, 18 points, 10 rebounds in this game, 4 assists. Larry, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on Jimmy Butler and the Jimmy Butler experience now that the honeymoon is kind of fading away. What are your thoughts on Jimmy at this stage of the game. With the Warriors, I believe 18-5. Correct me if I'm wrong on that stat. With Jimmy on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see him shooting 6 threes. Okay, I mean, the same way you got to know, you got to know what you're good at. He's not a 3-point shooter. Do we need to review? Tonight, 1 for 6. Last game, 0 for 2. Game before that, 1 for 7. Game before that, 1 for 2, 1 for 4, 1 for 4, 1 for 2. Then he had a couple games he didn't take one. He typically doesn't make a lot of 3-point shots. And to me, I would rather, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's shooting, tonight he shot 16% from 3. He's shooting for the month of March, 28% from 3. And it's like, and yet he's taking, 3 or 4 threes a game. So I don't know. To me, I'd like to see him go to the line a little bit more. He's only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games this month where he's gone to the line double figures. I would rather see him go to the line double figures every game and never shoot a 3. So I just look at it this way. As you get closer to the finish line, it's really imperative that everybody does what they're good at and only what they're good at. And I think that's how you play efficient basketball. So I think Jimmy's been really a profoundly great player because he's filled in on this team and he gives them things that they don't have. He gets to the line. They don't. He makes the right play simply. They don't. He doesn't play for entertainment purposes. He's an efficient player. They aren't oftentimes. So I think he's a really good fit, and it's been awesome. Just a few less threes and a few more drives, and I think I'd be a little bit more happy.
Frank, I'd love to get your reaction to what you've seen from Jimmy Butler now that we've seen like a month plus sample size. I also am curious to know what your reaction is to this take of mine. And this isn't like an opinion that I have conviction behind, but it is something I suspect. I feel like Jimmy's holding back. I feel like he's saving himself for when it matters most, and that's the postseason. We've seen it before. Like he shifts to this whole other gear when the playoffs start. He's playing passive right now. I do agree with that sentiment that he's not aggressive. He's not going out there to dominate. I wish we saw that version of Miami, but in your opinion, is there another gear that we can see from Jimmy Butler and your take on the Jimmy Butler experience with the Warriors?
I think it depends upon the matchups. I think depending upon who the Warriors play, he'll size up whomever is guarding him or what that particular team brings to the table, and he will respond accordingly. He's never been a great 3-point shooter. So I'm not overly concerned about that because he's so smart. I think he will take less. I also think that Moses Moody's decline in 3-point efficiency has put him in a position where he's had to take more because the defenses are scouting the Warriors now, and they slough on Jimmy Butler. When he gets the ball, they take a step backwards.
Tonight especially, right?
Yeah, I mean, every game moving forward. So what needs to happen if their perimeter players are making shots and they got to itch out further to guard their man, Jimmy Butler is going to be able to make those 1, 2, 3 dribble moves to the basket and just pound guys inside. So I don't worry about Jimmy Butler's offense or lack of numbers because I know that he is mentally taking what the defense give him, notwithstanding the ridiculous 1 for 6 from 3-point range. So I think he's going to be okay. What I like about him the most is the young guys are not used to him. So he keeps those guys in line. They're used to Draymond yelling at them and Steph giving them that death look. But they don't know Jimmy. They think Jimmy might actually do something crazy. So they don't do anything crazy. You notice since Jimmy's here, Buddy Hield has not been as crazy as he was earlier this year. Even Pod. So I just like his presence, man. I think his presence is outstanding. And you really can't put that and quantify that into a stat, but it matters the most.
Rye, what are your thoughts of the Jimmy Butler experience? I'd love to hear from you, brother.
I got to be completely honest. I thought it was a dumb move. I got to put my hand up. I thought it was
now you think that?
No. When it first happened, I was like, that was dumb. You're getting another guy that can't shoot. Are you kidding me? And at this point, Post hadn't quite become Dirk Nowitzki. But I mean, I'm now to a point where I'm like, I think that we can safely say that the Warriors' best chance, like they have a better chance with Jimmy than if they had gotten KD. I honestly believe that. It's just, I mean, the fact that he does all the little stuff, I love that he is basically the only guy on the Warriors that has a post game. Like that whole like split action thing they do where they like get it into somebody in the post. Like he now is a threat there to actually do work on the block, and it's causing like other guys to come over and have to double, and it's just opening so many things up. I'm confident he's going to be a killer in the playoffs. Dude, and so I do feel like he was playing, especially in the first half, he was playing a little bit of possum, just kind of like being a good teammate. Not to like totally change the topic, but I mean, I think ultimately with this team, they're going to go as far as I think they could like make a Western Conference Finals and possibly a Finals appearance, and then you never know what happens. If Steph is playing the way he was playing on that road trip where they went like New York, Brooklyn, when he was just killing, and like it looked like he had all his swagger back and the whole team had swagger, I'm a little bit worried. Even before this injury, he had the back injury, and he played like a couple of the worst games he's played. And the great thing about Steph is even though he's not like a great defender, he's always just competing and doing the right things. And I've just noticed he's not playing as good. He wasn't playing as good of defense. He's making bizarre turnovers. His shot looks not as good. He's not finishing layups through contact. And he looked better tonight, and he made a lot of his open threes, but he still doesn't look like he's back to that kind of, top tier Steph. Like we all know when you see Steph and he's just moving at like a kind of that jitterbug speed, like, you're like, oh, he's locked in. This is like, we have great Steph right now. So that's kind of my biggest concern down the stretch is like, if he can crank that back up, especially time for playoffs, then I think they definitely have a chance. I know Butler's going to elevate.
Well, let's hear from Steph. This was him right after the game. I think he's munching on something. And Anthony Slater posted this attribution. Steph was talking about the tailbone injury, his first game back, which, again, was successful. Good to see Steph back on the sideline. Here is Stephen Curry after tonight's win over the New Orleans Pelicans. Side note, turn the volume up on your devices because the sound may be low. Here is Stephen Curry.
Talked to you since that fall. How scary was that injury?
It just reminded me of 21 when I fell into the stairs in Houston. Thankfully, I didn't break anything or have a bone damage. It's mostly just a deep, serious contusion that I'll feel it for a while, but I can play and I can't make it worse.
You did have more damage on that one on the stair in Houston, right? Yeah. How long do you expect this to? I mean, did it bother you tonight, like as you're playing? Did it bother you?
No, I didn't bother. I'm just aware of it, and I don't know how long it'll take, but as long as I feel like I did tonight and don't have any other incidents where I fall on it,
How'd you feel just generally tonight?
Felt good. I mean, a week off is great in one aspect, is you're rested, but the timing, the endurance of get through your regular minutes, that was a little bit of a challenge, and down stretch trying to manage the game and not do anything crazy. So all in all, it was a great night. Obviously, nice to get the win. The second half was way better for our entire team. And, these are games you have to win.
How generally fresh, I guess physically and mentally, do you feel after that week off for a real push here?
I felt good before it. I mean, I know there's all that talk with the body on the level that I've been through. Physically, I felt well and felt good. And, had some juice every night. Mentally, I was away from the team for like 3 days. It's just kind of weird, but it felt a cup up a little bit. And then thought I was going to play Miami and kind of went through the routine, but wasn't able to go to the game. So it was another 2 days to kind of get my mind right. And to your point, I think it should be a good run. I'll wait till our last game, but we got 9 games left. So yeah, we got to win as much as we can.
9 games left. Side note, Stephen Curry calling Rye a complete liar. Your entire take was just blown out of the water. He was just saying he felt fine. I'm kidding. I'm being facetious. But Larry, your reaction to Stephen Curry's comments there, saying he missed the team being away for 3 days, had some little timing issues, but I thought he looked fine. Your reaction, sir?
Yeah, I thought he looked pretty good. I mean, if I didn't know better, I wouldn't have known that he missed 3 days. But I'll say this. I think any injury that can take Steph out off the floor a little bit here in March, at the end of this grueling regular season, I think is a positive for their chances in the playoffs, to be completely honest. If I could speed forward, end the regular season this second, and go to the playoffs right now, I think I would. And I think Steve Kerr would. I think Joe Lacob would, because I think they understand that they've got an old horse in this race, right? They got an experienced horse. They added Butler. He's added a lot, but he's old. And Steph's old. And Draymond's old. So the advantage they have is they know where the treasure's buried, right? They know, until you've been to the finals and won it, you don't know how much energy that you need to expend. So there's always an advantage to the team that's been there before, because they know what it takes. Now the question is, can the body be willing? And I think it's really imperative. How the Warriors finish as far as minutes and ease on the bodies of their veterans, I think is going to determine how far they go in the playoffs. If it's a knockdown, drag out, these guys hit the playoffs tired, they're going to be, quickly dispatched and heading home. But if by chance they can rest on the fly, I think Golden State could beat everybody but Denver in the West. And I think they could beat everybody but Boston or Cleveland in the East. I think eventually they're going to run into Denver, Boston, or Cleveland, and it's going to be over. But until then, I like their chances, and I really like their chances if they can somehow finish out this year, but allow Draymond, Steph, and Jimmy to kind of catch their breath individually.
Stephen Curry played 33 minutes, 54 seconds in his first game back, 7 of 21 from the field, 5 of 16 from deep, missed 1 free throw, 4 or 5 shooting from the free throw line, added 6 assists, 4 rebounds. It's third on the team in net rating with a +10, led the team in scoring with 23 points. Frank, what'd you see from Steph tonight? Your thoughts?
If listening to his interview, I kind of saw some of that on the court. He was managing the game tonight, which means that he didn't want a lot of air under his feet in tight spaces. So his level of concentration in terms of engaging defenders was not quite what I saw of him when he's not thinking about a potential fall or injury. But I have tremendous confidence whenever he's on the floor. I just love him on the floor. And whenever there's a shot to be made or a play to be made, I have full confidence that he's able to make it. So to me, it was reassuring to see him on the court, because I knew his teammates were going to play better and they were not going to look lost out there on the court. So I thought he was brilliant for his first game back, but I know what he was doing. He said he was managing the game. He wasn't really engaging contact the way that he'll probably do over the next week or so.
Rye, Steph, besides calling you a liar, I'm kidding about that. But Rye, I'd love to get your reaction. And also, again, this shows how juvenile, or maybe how immature, maybe that's a better way to describe my mentality. I am immature at times. Case in point, the Twitter account Stat Mamba posting that when Steph, Jimmy Butler, and Kuminga play together, they're 4-1 as a trio. The nickname, the Cum Bucket Brothers. Rye, your thoughts on Steph and the Cum Bucket Brothers as a nickname?
I love the Cum Bucket Brothers. I think that Steph. I just love when Steph and Kuminga are on the floor together. I think in the playoffs, that's really when we're gonna see Kuminga's value at its greatest, because sometimes it just gets hard to get buckets, and he's just a guy that can get to the line. And I just love that 2-man game that they can play, where it's you have Steph Curry out there. So it basically gives Kuminga license to just get to the rack, which is what he does best.
Totally.
I don't know. I guess I feel positive about that press conference. Sounds like maybe he was a little fatigued.
In all honesty, Ryan, I was surprised to hear that. For Steph to say he felt fine, maybe he's full of shit too. Who knows? But he looked like a guy who was battered, man. That's just me. I don't know. $5 donation, by the way, from Bill M saying, Larry, perfectly said.
Thank you.
And the Warriors are not going to go anywhere because Kerr will not do that. Pertaining, I'm guessing, to Kuminga. He doesn't know how to use JK and Moody the right way. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, I agree actually with Bill. I don't know that he doesn't know how to use them. He doesn't prioritize it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. He knows how to use everybody. I don't think Steve Kerr doesn't understand. He doesn't. It's not his priority, and I think it should be his priority. His priority is to keep the group together, and also he's very veteran friendly. He's a kind of a veteran centric type guy. But if he really looked at this objectively and really thought it through, I think what you know is going to happen come playoff time is Jimmy Butler's going to rise, raise his level. Curry is too, and Green is, but you don't know if Moses Moody is or can, and you don't know if Jonathan Kuminga can. So to me, I would try to get those guys' momentum really going, because when we get to the playoffs, if those guys' momentum's really going, those other veterans are going to get it going.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that. But if you prioritize you prioritize Steph and Draymond and Jimmy, and they get going, fine. But you're going home if Kuminga and Moody don't give you a lot of production in the playoffs. So I don't know if anybody's been that direct with Kerr, but that's how I feel about it. And I watch every game, and I just really believe that the veterans can blend. It's like anything else. In baseball, you see it. It's a lot harder for a 23-year-old guy to come off the bench, sit, take batting practice at 5:00, sit for 3 hours, and then come in the ninth inning off of some guy throwing some nasty slider and get a hit. But guess what? Guys who are 35 and have been in the game, they know how to do it. They can do it. And so guys coming off the bench are generally in baseball, the veteran guy pinch hitter is way better than the young guy. And the same kind of thing here, I think, is the veterans can figure it out and produce around all kinds of distractions. Younger guys can't. So get Kuminga and Moody, give them license, get them rolling, and play around them.
The Warriors trailed by 8 after the first quarter. Again, they started this game down 14-2. They trailed 28-21 after the first quarter. They trailed by 4 at the half. It was a tie game at the end of the third quarter. And then the Warriors, if I have my math right, and I think I do, and then the Warriors in the fourth quarter held New Orleans to just 13 points, outscored them 28-13, and then we have our final score, 111-95. I look at the shooting numbers, and I feel like if New Orleans was actually hitting their three-point shot, which they were not, New Orleans was just 7 of 23 from beyond the arc tonight. This would have been a tighter game. Maybe the fourth quarter would not have been a blowout. And the stat I'm looking at, which is just bothersome. And Frank, I'll start with you in this regard, because I'm looking at the Warriors' three-point shooting tonight. 55 three-point attempts. That is insane. Whoa. I feel like every time the one move the Warriors did tonight, to every time they started trailing by margins and they were losing momentum, they just go for the easy two, and it fixed everything. And again, 13 of 55 from deep, 23.6%. And this is not an anomaly. This has been happening on a consistent basis now. Frank, what are you seeing there, man? Because that is ugly. And do you think the Warriors should maybe stop shooting so many threes?
Absolutely. It should stop. It should go to the basket. If they have those type numbers against the Lakers, they lose by 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at the Warriors, I don't look at the game that they're playing. I try to visualize how they're going to play in the playoffs, because they're going to be in the playoffs. So, the consistency that you have to play with in the playoffs, we need to see now, which is why I get upset when I see complimentary players acting like they're prime time players. Stephen Curry can take any shot that he wants to me because I've seen him make any shot. Some of these other guys, use your intelligence and play to your strengths. It's why Jimmy Butler's been so great with the Warriors, because up until this last week, he's really played to his strengths all the time. And I want to see the other guys take that lead. Shooting 55 three-pointers and making 12. That's what they did? Come on, man.
13 out of 55.
No, you can't do that.
That's crazy. Ryan, what do you think when you hear that stat? Because that's absurd to me. That's insane.
Yeah, it's terrible. And they just kept firing him up, specifically like early in the game. It was just a lot of, and I love posts and I want him to shoot, but it was like a lot of post jumpers to start that game off. And yeah, it was weird. You kept they would show the field goal percentage, and like their field goal percentages would be the same, if not the Warriors were up a bit, but then the Warriors were down because they were just bricking threes. You just don't. They're a team that can get to the cup, so it doesn't really make sense.
It is interesting too, though, that on this team where Kuminga and Moody feel kind of constrained. I mean, they just don't. It doesn't feel like they've got license. But what Post and Pods do?
Well, Pods especially, yeah.
Post plays like he's a 7 or 8 year veteran. I mean, he just hoists. He hoists, man.
Does it surprise you guys that he's 25 years old?
Wow.
Yeah, I just learned that the other day. Like, he's a rookie, but he just turned 25, so not that young. But I'm with you on that, Larry. You're right. He does have a carte blanche in terms of just shooting at will. What did you guys think? If I don't know if it's a good time to shift directions, but the Taylor Jenkins news today was insane. He got fired, and this is a guy that's just been, for the most part, a winning coach. I thought the most insane part was the timing of it. 9 games remaining in the season, or 10, or whatever it is. The Warriors have 9. Larry, did that surprise you waking up this morning to see the news that Taylor Jenkins has been relieved of duties for the Memphis Grizzlies, a team the Warriors are chasing? That's one of their best, the best hope they had, the highest. The best hope, I don't know, my grammar's struggling here, but the best chance that the Warriors have to move up in the standings is Memphis. If they beat them next week, they get the tiebreaker. They just fired their coach. What is going on there, man? What's your take on that?
So you're saying they got the best host they be getting? Is that what you're saying? No. I don't know. As far as Taylor Jenkins, I'm surprised. But you know what? A couple people that I've talked to, who I some of my friends who I've talked to in the last hour or two, were like, "Oh, he sucked as a coach." I always kind of thought of him as a pretty good coach.
Same.
So I'm surprised that people would have that take of he's not a good coach. I thought he was a pretty good coach, and I'm a little bit surprised. I got to be honest. And the timing is very odd. Very odd.
The kids call it sus, right, Rye? That's the word you use for shit canning a coach this late in the season.
I mean, everybody's first thought is the Ime Udoka situation, but apparently, or at least that was my first thought, was just like, it reminded me of that, just where it was like, whoa, all of a sudden he's fired? What? But
Uncle
apparently
touchy-feely.
I was listening to a little Memphis sports radio today, and apparently he is a Boy Scout, and it's definitely not that. Like, they literally, the only reason anyone can come up with is just that they can't beat good teams. Like, I guess they haven't beat like a playoff team in like a couple months or something. And it's just weird though, because Taylor Jenkins, they were a 2 seed 2 years in a row, and they just got kind of unlucky. They had to play the Warriors that ended up winning the championship. They had to play the Lakers, who made it out of the play-in, and
right, they were the 2 seed 2 weeks ago.
They've
fallen a little bit recently, but
with John Morant injured for the majority of the year, and then they get rid of him after they play OKC. It's a tie game with 7 minutes left. They end up losing by 15 or 20, but still they played OKC tough with Scottie Pippen Jr. out there. It seems like Memphis is always rolling out these random ass dudes that end up being good. So I don't know. It's bizarre. Good for the Warriors. I mean, the stretch run for Memphis is not great. They have to play the Lakers, Boston, Golden State, at Miami, okay, that's easy. But then at Detroit, at Charlotte, that's pretty easy. But then Minnesota, Denver, Dallas. So, for the most part, teams that want to win, that's I agree 100% that they are the team that the Warriors have to catch, because I don't think the Clippers are slowing down.
The Clippers have a very easy schedule coming up. That scares me in terms of the Warriors being able to stay ahead of LA. Larry, I'm sure, I don't know if Taylor Jenkins being fired registered on your radar today, but if it did, how did you react to that?
Well, I mean, I was surprised. And then when I just saw the odds for who's the next coach there, and I didn't even recognize the guy who's the favorite. I mean, it was just like,
is it the guy that was currently the interim now?
Probably.
Yeah, he's got some. Yeah, he's fairly new in the scene. So
I don't know his name, but I saw it here a second ago.
I saw Sam Cassell as one of the odds-on favorites too, for possibly stepping in there. The great Sam Cassell, who I think will be a great coach if he ever is given that opportunity. Frank, what did you think, man? Or did I jump over your on your toes there, Larry? I'm sorry.
No, not at all. I really didn't have a strong opinion.
Frank, do you have an opinion on it? I mean, because it is crazy.
I think he told his boss he was number one. That's what I think.
Yeah, seriously.
Because his primary responsibility this year was to see if Ja Morant could get through the season. Honestly, he's been in and out of the lineup because he's been hurt. This is not about basketball. Trust me. I mean, they can talk about going 8-11 in the post All-Star break. I lived in Memphis for a short period of time. I mean, he has a lot of stuff, I think, outside of X and O's that he has to kind of deal with. And I think there was kind of a power struggle. I do believe that. And
between him and the GM or the owner?
Yeah.
Or both?
I mean, well, I think the owner. I think the owner has final say, but I think this move to me implies that the general manager had more power. This guy's been there for 6 years. They gave him an extension last June.
Yeah.
He's sitting on millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? So he's emboldened, I think. So I don't have any intel. I don't have any fact. But logic would suggest that this is really not about basketball. This is more of a power struggle, I think.
Especially for the timing. I totally agree with you. But this is the question I'm most curious about. Because, again, the Memphis Grizzlies, you look at the standings right now, they're 2 games ahead of the Warriors. They play each other next week. So the Warriors have a chance to gain a game just from that alone. And if the Warriors win that game, they win the season head-to-head tiebreaker, which I think is huge. So this has a lot of implications when it comes to the Warriors. And I do think, I forgot who said it, but whoever said it, I think is right, that the Grizzlies this season, in a lot of ways, are like your Knicks, Frank. They have a hard time beating good teams. And I think that was bothering the front office of the Grizzlies to a certain extent. Wouldn't surprise me if Ja Morant or another player spoke out and said it's time for some change. But I guess, Larry, I'll start with you. I've been asking all three of you this because I think it's important. Will the Warriors catch up to Memphis? Do you need to schedule red again, or do you think you could answer that without it? Larry, I'll start with you.
Can the Warriors catch Memphis?
2 games back.
Yeah, Memphis is 44-29. Golden State is 42-31. I mean, they absolutely can, but I mean, how many games left?
9.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 2-game lead with 9 to play is a lot.
They do play each other though. So in theory, if the Warriors
once?
They play each other. So in theory, if the Warriors win that game, that's 1 game you chop off. Who has
the tiebreaker?
Warriors. If the Warriors win that game next week, they also own the tiebreaker.
Well, then it's doable, but there can be no more backslide. I mean, Golden State's going to almost have to be perfect.
It's so well. Look at here's and I think Rye just read this off. Sorry to be redundant here, but here's Memphis's schedule one more time just to show you how difficult it is. They play the Lakers next, Celtics, Warriors next Tuesday in Memphis, Miami. That's a winnable game for Memphis. They're at Detroit, who's suddenly become a very good team this season. At Charlotte, that should be a cakewalk for them. Then Minnesota, great team. At Denver, damn, you're probably not winning that. And then they finished the season at Dallas. So what I'm trying to say here basically is that Memphis very realistically could finish the season 3-6 over these last 9 games, because outside of Miami, outside of Charlotte, and I don't know, I guess Dallas, all those other games they're going to be underdogs. I think that's a safe assumption. Frank, do you think the Warriors will overcome Memphis? And your thoughts on the standings?
I think they can. I don't know if they will, but I think that they can. The NBA, man, is all these backroom deal type stuff. But when I think of Jenkins not being out of a job now, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he's the coach of Sacramento at some point. I just think that there's so much that we don't know, and I don't want to start rumors, but when you know the history, it's just the guy is one of the best coaches in the NBA. Structurally, he is.
Frank, Larry and I's former colleague, Gary Radnish, used to always say, throw your crap against the wall and see if it sticks. Throw that crap, baby. Start those rumors.
I mean, he's going to be coaching pretty soon. He's not going to be out of work long. Trust me. So I'm more concerned about the Warriors getting the 6th seed. I don't care who they play. I just want them to get the 6th seed. We know they're not going to play OKC. Whomever wins number 2, they're not going to play that. But I would love to see them in the 6th seed and not have the stresses of the play-in. Otherwise, I don't care who they play, because they can beat any team in a 7-game series if they're playing at their best. I believe they can.
In the Nuggets?
Yes, absolutely. It took 38 points in the best shooting day in the history of Aaron Gordon's career, to beat the Warriors the last time they played.
Right, I'm going to toss it back to you, and this goes to Dice Boy, who dropped the $1.99 early in the show, wanted to save it for now. Dice Boy writes, who are you guys' ideal first-round matchup and results? If the season ended today, the Warriors would be the 7th seed because the Clippers are currently ahead of them, even though they both have a 42-31 record. So if the season ended today, the Warriors would host the Minnesota Timberwolves in a 1-game play-in. The winner of that game would be the 7th seed, and they would take on the Houston Rockets in the first round. Side note, I think that's an ideal matchup for Golden State. If the loser of that game would then play the winner of the Kings and Mavericks, who, if the season ended today, would be your 9 and 10 seed. So let's say hypothetically the Kings win that game. Then you'd have a do or die game between the Warriors and the Kings for the 8th seed. And that would result in a Thunder first round matchup. So Larry, I'll start with you, man. Where do you hope the Warriors land in terms of playoff positioning, and who is your ideal first round matchup? Your thoughts on the postseason scenarios?
Well, I like Houston. I'll take Houston. I don't want Denver. I don't want OKC. I don't want OKC or Denver. So I'll take Houston. And to me, what I think I would really be rooting for, based on what I've seen from the Warriors against Anthony Davis, is for Sacramento to somehow beat Dallas. And if the Warriors get by Minnesota, the Warriors get by Minnesota, they get Houston. But if the Warriors, how would they would get the Sacramento Dallas winner right before they get Houston? So to me, I'm a little fearful of a matchup with the T-Wolves. I'm a little fearful of a matchup with the Mavericks. I would like to take on Sacramento in that play-in battle, and I like Houston. To me, Houston's a team where they got talent, but they have no clue where the treasure is buried. You know what I mean? They have no idea. They're out there on ASS, and that's it. And the Warriors know exactly how much energy they need to expend. I think that would be a very favorable. That would be a nice little lesson for the Rockets that the regular season doesn't mean squat if they got the Warriors in the first round. So that's the one I'm rooting for. I think Warriors definitely take out Houston.
I agree. And Ryan, I'm going to ask you next here, but I just wanted to follow up and agree with you, Larry. I think Houston is the ideal first round matchup for the Warriors. I'd follow that with Memphis as your 1-2 punch for your first round matchup. The Lakers are a total wild card. I have no clue how the Warriors would match up with them. I will say this about the Lakers. I like the Warriors' chances against them now versus when they had Anthony Davis. As weird as that may sound, the size variable, I think, factors heavily. I don't want to see the Warriors play the Nuggets at all. They play each other one last time this season, I believe Friday, April 4th. Ryan, what is your ideal scenario?
It's 100% the Rockets. I mean, don't they have like some crazy ownage on Houston? Like maybe it's just in Houston, but just like dating back like a while now where they basically don't lose in Houston. It's got to be Houston. maybe this is apocryphal, but I actually wouldn't mind seeing the Thunder in the first round. I actually think the Warriors match up pretty well. And I don't think that the Warriors.
I guess
I wouldn't mind it.
It scares me a little bit seeing them that early. Like, but I hear what you're saying too. You know.
But I almost feel like they have a better shot at them versus Denver. I will say, since we're in the trust tree here, we're in the trust tree.
We're in the trust tree. Yeah.
I put
nobody's gonna say anything if you go ahead, please.
This is partially to really just save myself from emotional torment in the future in case this comes to pass. But I did put a bet on the Warriors to miss the playoffs entirely at 11-1.
Oh my!
You still might win that. As crazy as that sounds.
I know. Oh no, I just did it.
I just did my God!
It's really well, you know, because everyone's talking about the Warriors making a run. They're a big team to talk about on ESPN. I totally believe that if they get in the dance, like anything could happen. But like, I just do not like the way things are shaking up. Where if you look at not only the Clippers have an easy ass schedule and they have the tiebreaker. The Timberwolves have an unbelievably easy schedule as well. And they're right on the Warriors' heels, even though they don't have the tiebreaker. I think both those teams could pass them. Then, who knows what happens with Memphis? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. So maybe the Warriors are the 7 seed or the 8 seed in the play-in. And it's just like, I don't know. Those things ever since dating back to 2021 when they lost, like they just scare me. Like, because anything could happen. You know, if they have to play Minnesota in the first game, I mean, that's just a tough team to play, especially let's say Steph maybe is not fully back or any nagging injury to any one of their players. And then it's like your reward for that. It's not the East where you get to play, you know, the Chicago Bulls or the Reeling Magic or whatever. Like you're going to have to probably play Anthony Davis, or, you know, there still is a chance you have to play like Kevin Durant and Booker in like a nobody believes in us. Our season, like we've been shit on this entire year.
Want that. Yeah,
and
I
like,
don't want that at all.
Yeah,
hell no.
And all the pressure's on the Warriors.
With the Suns, hell no.
No.
I'm with you. Yeah,
no. So I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. This is the trust tree that I'm getting a little concerned. And if I look at the Warriors next, it's not like they have an easy schedule at all. They have to beat at San Antonio this next game. And then it's like they have Memphis, Lakers, Denver, Houston, Phoenix, who is still trying to make the play-in, San Antonio again, that should be pretty easy. Portland should be pretty easy. And then Clippers, last game of the season. And I kind of think that if they were going to want to guarantee themselves in the 6th seed, I think they need to win 6 of those.
Out of minimal. I think minimum.
Yeah,
minimum. You might have to be 7 or 8. It's.
And you think like we were just talking, like Larry's just saying, oh, it'd be nice, you know, if we could maybe get the vets like a little rest down the stretch. Like it's not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Oh,
and that could be the difference between, you know, a run to the finals and getting bounced in the first round. I mean, I think your bet for them not to make the playoffs still has some juice. I know that sounds crazy, but this whole play-in thing, they could easily lose a couple head-to-head games. I mean, heck, we've seen it.
We have. Frank, did you answer this already? I'm sorry. I
don't know if I answered. I said anybody, but you know, I mean,
that's
right. you know, Houston, to be quite honest, I mean, they've been knocking on the door, and the Warriors have been miraculous in some of those wins. So if you play the same team over and over again, at some point they're going to beat you. So I mean, Houston is not a bad matchup for the Warriors, but again, you guys are reeling off the team that they're going to play. Like if the Warriors hypothetically play the Lakers and they beat the Lakers, then that emboldens them against the other teams that they play, because they're really not playing against the Lakers. They're playing up against their expectation. And if they can match their expectation, that manifests itself against the other teams. So as a basketball player and as any type of football, whatever you play, I mean, it sounds boring, but when Belichick talks about the next team that they're playing, that is the mentality that is built into your head constantly. You're not playing against the opposition to the point where your focus is on them. You're equally focused on the standard that you set for yourself. And the Warriors' high is really, really high. So I think they can win against anybody with that mentality. But the barometer are the teams that they play. They play against the Lakers and they suck and they're not shooting well. Why would they shoot well against Denver?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's about the standard that they play. That's what the professional and high-level teams do. And there's not a better coach in the league who gets his team mentally focused and ready to play than Steve Kerr. That's his brilliance.
Good call. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Let's get one more soundbite before we wrap it up. I'm not muted. Okay. This is Stephen Curry. Excuse me. And this soundbite is particularly relevant for the show and tonight because Steph was asked about how Jonathan Kuminga had 3 finishes and 4 free throws via ball screen actions with Curry. And this piggybacks off, I think, Frank, you said this earlier in the show. That was it you or was it Ryan? I apologize. Somebody said that, or maybe it was Larry. I'm a stoner. Who said that Steph and Kuminga on the floor together was awesome?
That was Ryan.
Right. Bravo. They did look damn good today. And here is Steph adding to that. He was asked about that duo, and let's hear what Stephen Curry had to say about the Steph Kuminga connection. This is courtesy of Sam Gordon of the San Francisco Chronicle. Friendly reminder again to turn the volume up on your phone. And one other thing before we play this, bear in mind, there is a very strong possibility that Stephen Curry is in this room with like 2 other people total. It's fascinating to me. Maybe it's a nerdy thing to say that in a lot of these press conference scenarios on the NBA and these road games, especially, like these rooms look like they're packed with reporters. In reality, it's probably just 2 dudes. It's probably Slater, Sam Gordon, I guess 3, and Danny Emmerman. Anyways, here is
what I think you could sum it up with tier 1. Okay, that's these people are.
And Sam Gordon, by the way, going to join us tomorrow from the road. I'm excited.
You're going to have a tier 1 guy on tomorrow?
I am. Yeah, I am not tier 1, but I book tier 1.
Look at you.
What is that? Is there such?
I'm sorry that you're slumming it with us today. Where none of us are tier 2, 3, or 4.
I was going to ask Larry, do they have a class system like this in the NFL for media?
No. In fact, it's a free for all. It's basically you just whoever come one, come all.
The NBA needs to do some work. There's no doubt about that.
Do you think Shanahan would have Grant Cohn as asking that many questions if he could actually have tiers of people?
How many questions?
Grant, you're not tier 1, you're tier 4. He'd never ask a question again.
Here's Stephen Curry.
What do you like about the 2-man game with Jonathan?
He's a force when he gets in the paint and get a mismatch or gets downhill. So if I can create some attention, like you said, get him in the pocket. He's really gotten better at seeing the angles in the lane. If he doesn't have anything, getting off of it. And it's something we need to utilize, depending on matchups. I can get going off his pick and roll, or I can, get him in the pocket with an advantage and he can take over.
What do you like about the 2-man game with Jonathan?
Sorry about that. And that ends there. Frank, I'll start with you. What your reaction to Steph's comment about Kuminga's performance tonight, which I thought personally was great. Your thoughts?
I love it. There's a concept that I've been thinking about for a long time, and it's called hearing people think the game. I could hear Kuminga thinking basketball tonight, and it's a real thing. And he was in sync tonight. You could feel him assessing which decision he wanted to make in like a nanosecond, and hear and feel him make the right decision consecutively 2, 3, 4 times in a row. It's a dance. It's a waltz. There's synergy. It's like the connection between you and a beautiful woman or somebody who laughs at your jokes. When Kuminga was in that sphere tonight, and you could tell, and he was feeding off the vets because the vets are there a lot. And to see him get into that space and not worry about whether or not Kerr was going to yank him out and just go out there and play like the talented player he is was beautiful to watch because the Warriors underrate him. There's teams that's lining up to pay that guy $185 million. And the Warriors are like, well, we want to pay you $150. And Washington, and Washington is like, we'll take him. somebody else will take him.
There's a lot of teams.
There's a lot of teams that will take him.
Yes.
So I mean, I love how he played tonight.
Larry, your thoughts? Because I'm in agreement with you. I'm in agreement with you, Larry, in that if the Warriors are going to make some noise this postseason, Kuminga has to be a part of it. Your thoughts?
When I watch him, the thing that I think is, wouldn't it be better for the Warriors if he were even more raw than he is, and they could just simply say to him, attack the front of the rim and try to flush everything? Because if he did that, then the defense would react and they would always sag in off him every time he got the ball, because they would know he's going to the 10, right? He's going to the rim and he's going to try to flush it. And I know it sounds simplistic, but if he had that mindset, I actually think it would open up everything for Golden State. I think if he were this relentless, Charles Barkley in 1985, where you pull it off the rim, you try to go coast to coast and flush it. And that's that's basically your game. I just really, when I watch Kuminga, I know he's smart and he can play off of these guys now, and he's learned a lot. But when I think about what is the most valuable thing he could do, I actually think if I was Kerr, I'd be like, Jonathan, here's a C note every single time you rip one in the middle of the lane, just absolutely, tear one down. And because I really believe if the defense felt like he was just going to attack the rim, everything goes in, and then he gets exactly what he wants, right? Because he can find the shooter on the perimeter. He can do those things now, but he's so trying to play this perfect game around these veterans, trying to be the perfect guy that Kerr wants. And I don't think that's.
I agree, Larry. Just
try to dunk everything and make the defense attack you, make the defense defend your drives. Then you'll go to the line more. You'll make more free throws. That will help the team win. The defense will sag. You'll hit open shooters. I think Kuminga attacking the rim with ferocity consistently is their whole key offensively. I really do believe that.
Agreed. I feel like he's like when Kuminga isn't thinking out there and he's just reacting, when he's just intuitive, he's kicking ass out there, and he's in his head a lot, and that unfortunately does, I think, hinder him at times. Ryan, what's your reaction? What do you think about Kuminga as we are in the home stretch, 9 games to go?
Yeah, I think he's going to have to be a huge part of the team, because I don't know, you can see it even though they have Steph Curry. This team will still. It's gotten a lot better with Butler, but like we still go through. The team goes through stretches where they really are just struggling to get. The offense can get stagnant, and it's just all of a sudden it seems impossible to buy a bucket, and it's like that's where it's so important that they have JK. He's just a guy that can get to the rim and actually get fouled. I mean, everything's a million times better with Butler here in terms of getting free throws, but prior to Butler, I mean, Kuminga was the only guy getting to the line, and I always thought that was the most underrated part of KD coming to the Warriors, was the fact that he was finally a guy where they could just get the ball to him and he could just go and get fouled at the rim. Like that, you need it.
And I thought Kuminga tonight, I don't know if you folks agree, but there were a couple plays tonight where his passing, I thought, really shined. There was one bounce pass where he found Quentin Post, who was driving to the rim, and I think Post slammed it, but it was just a timing thing where the pass was pinpoint in motion, kind of like a quarterback finding a receiver on a route. And then there was another where Kuminga, who's rebounding tonight, I thought stuck out. It was the most aggressive I've seen Kuminga attacking the glass since he came back from injury. And one of those plays was literally he grabbed the board, had a full court outlet pass to Steph, who got the easy bucket. He was making plays like that. And when he's, at an elite level in every facet, passing, defense, scoring, like it's beautiful to watch, man. I'm a fan of his, and I do hope he puts it together. Gentlemen, I think you're familiar with who Shardall is. Are you up for a quick appearance?
Of course.
Larry?
I'll
come back to you. Frank, what do you think? Should we get Shardall?
I mean, your show. I don't let him on my show anymore. and that's between me and him. He did something that
Larry, you thought about it.
I don't play
if he's banned from Frank, then he's banned from me.
Oh no! Oh no! Well, let's give him a shot. Let's see where he holds up. We'll cut him off fast if he's ruffling feathers. If he's disrupting the crowd.
He's not tier 1. He's not tier 1.
He's not tier 1. But we got Shardall. Shardall, floor is yours. How you doing?
It's great. It's great. Great being on the show. It's been a long time being on the panel with all of you guys, Ryan, Larry, everybody. It's been a great time. It's great being on the show again. I love Cy. I love all his content on the channel. I try and support him as much as I can and tune into his show. Great. This was a great one by the Warriors. Took down the New Orleans Pelicans 111-95. Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry combined for 41, which was amazing. When those two guys are on the floor, they work so well. They work so well together when they're on the floor. Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, they are such a great duo. And when we got Jimmy Butler, I was like on cloud 9 when we got Jimmy Butler. I was like, this is like the greatest thing that could ever happen when we got Jimmy Butler.
Shardall, what did you do to Frank? Why is like? Are you going to apologize? Apologize to the man, right?
Frank, I apologize for what I done. Can I come back on your show? I apologize for what I've done. What I did.
What have you done though?
He told me to not call him and email him on X. And I keep calling him, and he gets fed up with that. So I promise I won't do that again. Are you going to let me back?
In other words, you're not following directions.
Are you going to let me back on your show if I follow directions?
Well, listen, dude. Listen.
I promise I'll follow directions and I'll be on my best behavior.
Well, listen. First and foremost, when I ask somebody not to do something and they do it, I want to know, why did you feel emboldened to do what I told you not to do?
Sometimes I have an impulse to do things, and I just do things because I have an impulse to do it, and I don't think before I act.
So, Shardall, you lack impulse control, is what you're trying to say.
Sometimes I can't handle it, right? Like, I have an impulse. I can't handle it. Like, I try and control it.
Okay, please be quiet for a second because we're serious. Erase the word "can't" from your vocabulary. You can do whatever you want to do. All right. It's about respect. When somebody brings you into their community, and you show them disrespect by doing what you want to do, and you blame it on the fact that you have impulse control, that's bullshit. All right. So I'm gonna think about it, and because I'm a nice guy. No, be quiet.
Don't talk.
Quiet. Just be quiet. I'm probably going to let you back in because you seem like a decent guy and all these guys like you. But don't disrespect me. Don't do what I tell you not to do. All right? So let's start there, and then maybe we can kind of repair this thing. Don't make excuses for your actions. Please don't do that. All right?
I won't make excuses for my actions. Right. I know.
No. Stop. You said you won't make excuses for your actions. Over a period of time, I'll be fine, and I'll probably let you get back in. But I don't want to hear any reasons why you can't do anything. All right? We good. We good now.
Everything's good.
Frank, I respect that. The word "can't" it can. I'm not a fan of that word either. I feel you.
I'm gonna take that word out of the English language. I'm not gonna.
You can't do. You can't fly as a human being, for example, without a plane engine and all that stuff. So you can't do certain things. But when it comes to your behavior, yes, Shardall.
I'm sorry that I'll eliminate "can't" from my English vocabulary.
Bravo! Look at that. Like you two are getting. I like this. Shardall, what was your thoughts about tonight, man?
It was a great win. I mean, we took down the Pelicans 111-95. Curry and Butler combined for 41. I said when those two guys are on the floor, they're a dominant force. When they're on the floor, like
gentlemen,
cannot.
Gentlemen, it's Friday night, by the way. I mean, this is a day where the week is over, the grind is concluded. Shardall, just chill for a second because I want to hear what everyone else has to say first. Frank, what are your Friday night plans?
I'm actually going to go to the movies with a good a friend of mine, and it's kind of our ritual. We'll go to movies, get a late night dinner, and I look forward to it. So I'm
what 33 right now? You have time to do that still, Frank?
Oh yeah. I'm going to see The Working Man, which is Jason Statham.
Yeah,
I like all of his action movies, and then we'll find a late night spot to get a nice meal and talk about our lives, man. So
the premise of that movie, I'm sorry, sounds awesome. I feel like this crew here represents the working man. Like, we are not elitist. We have no idea what privilege feels like for the most part. It depends on who you ask, I suppose. But the point is, we are the working men of the sports media industry. So if you're coming to us, you're getting authentic content. You're getting people who are grinding, earning our place here. Frank, I hope you enjoyed the movie. Ryan, what are you up to, man? What are you doing on this Friday night?
It's pretty sad. I'm probably going to bed.
Well, you got your girlfriend with you, right? You're at least in a relationship, are you not?
I am in a relationship. We'll probably, we'll probably eat a little bit, and then I'm probably off to bed.
Right.
Kind of an early bed guy these days.
You're growing up, buddy. That's a maturation. I respect that. Larry, you're a family man. You've got four children, right? 3 beautiful boys and a daughter. You're kicking ass. You're killing it. You're the king of Bay Area sports media. What does the king do on a Friday night?
I'm gonna go down to 7-Eleven and go down to 7-Eleven. I'm gonna take a 20 and get a bunch of singles and go to a strip club. And,
we're talking.
I'm gonna come home and start thinking about how do I get to tier 1, man? How do I get to tier 1? You know, I'm gonna go get those singles. Tabitha's on the main stage, and then I'm gonna say, Tabitha, how do I get to tier 1? And hopefully she's got wisdom.
Would you bring Shardall with you to the strip club, or is that a line that you're not going to cross?
I'll think about it.
Ooh,
I'll think about it. But you know what? I gotta. It's gonna take.
There's a lot of rules in the strip club. I'm not sure if we can trust Shardall to try.
Stay behind the ropes and remember,
Ryan.
Never forget what tier you come from.
Shardall, I am impressed with you. He has stayed quiet this whole time. He's shown deference and respect with Frank. Shardall, I'm proud of you tonight, buddy. What are you doing on Friday night?
On a Friday night, I'm not much going on. I would just come here. I love being with you guys. I could sit here all night talking to you guys. I love talking to you all you guys on the panel. I just like what you all bring to the table. Every one of you guys.
Shardall, when you're not upsetting Frank, I love what you bring to the table as well. But you got to get back on Frank's good graces. That's important. So
hey, Frank, you're a great guy as well, and I love all your content. You make some great content. And you keep grinding, man. You'll go far, my man. If you keep doing what you're doing right now, and you're consistent on your content, and you make every day, you're gonna go way far, my man. I know it. Like,
all right.
I truly mean it. I'm not patronizing.
I know.
Shardall,
have a great. Thank you, Shardall.
Hey, Cy, thanks for having me on the show. Viewers, make sure to click that like button, smash the subscribe button, ring that notification bell for Golden Days in reference to Days and Confused and
the Dungeon.
Hey, make sure to click the like and subscribe button to the Krueger show in the Dungeon show, West Coast Smitty,
yes.
Golden Days. Subscribe to all 4 of these gentlemen. They make some great content. In reference to Days and Confused, the Matthew McConaughey movie, and Hawk 2 on that thing. Hawk 2 on that thing. Hawk 2 on that thing.
This is a man who wouldn't know tier 1. All right.
All
right.
The great Shardall. Gentlemen, any final thoughts? Frank?
This was awesome. I follow your content, listen to your takes, and thank you for the invite. Rise, my guy.
Cool. Frank, thank you for being cool with waiting like 3 months for me to call you back and not being offended by that. I thank you. I mean,
listen. The highlight of my contribution to whatever I do is my show on Sunday. So as long as I have a show, I love what I do. So it's all good. And truly,
how can people find that show again on YouTube, Frank? Let's promote it.
Well, I mean, you blasted it with real large, nice, clear letters.
Yeah, you can see it right there.
Yeah, in the Dungeon show, it's right there, no spaces, and at Big Frank Red, and it's all good. I need to do. The onus is really on me. I need to do a better job marketing my show. I'm probably going to step my game up in that regard in the summer. Maybe hire a social media person and actually blow this thing up, because the consistency of the people who listen to what I do and contribute to the show is unbelievable. So I'm really appreciative of that. And thank you for the opportunity. Ryan, I always love collaborating with you, man. It's awesome to see you. Larry, Krueger, Cy's not lying. I mean, what you've done with this medium is unbelievable. And we all kind of started at the same time, but you've knocked the door down. Dude. What do you have, like a bulldozer in your backyard or something?
It's Frank. I'll credit my son. My son has helped me quite a bit. We have different skill sets, right?
Right.
And his skill set combined with my skill set has been very valuable for the channel. And I want to thank Rye, of course, as well. Rye was one of the original guys with me, Danny, and all the people that I've collabed with. I mean, I feel like we've made a lot of good decisions, collaborating with a lot of different people, and it's just been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, and it's weird. It's like, when you do what you love, you don't work a day. My dad used to say, "Hey, kid, do what you love to do, and you'll never work a day in your life."
He's right.
And I never really understood it, but now it's like, I loved talking sports for a living on the radio, but then the real dream is to be able to kind of own it yourself. And now here I am, I own it myself, and I'm talking to the people I want to talk to about the subjects I want to talk about for as long or as little as I want to talk about them. And I'm loving it. And then if I can be an example for you guys or in any way a trailblazer to try to open the doors for everybody, because I'm all about my radio brothers, Tommy T, Paulie Mack, John Lund. A lot of these guys were really, really talented guys that had nothing to do with their talent did not go down. Their talent always was the same. And yet radio as a business struggled. So I'm just, somebody showed me, somebody lent me a helping hand, and that's all I want to do for my friends. And I'll tell you, man, I love doing these streams on, whether it be Dan's channel or Cy's channel or somebody else's channel. I mean, anybody, I love doing it because it reminds me that, this is what I love to do. And it's really rewarding to see guys who used to be on the radio, lost their job, are fearful for their future, kind of figure it out and realize that they can create their own reality and their own deal, and they can own it, and they can support themselves on it over time. So anyway, I appreciate all your guys' kind words, and if anything I can do to help my friends, I'm as loyal as the day is long. So there you go.
Larry, I missed the last 2 minutes. What'd you say? I'm kidding. I love you. No, you're in all seriousness, man. How many years has it been since you launched the YouTube thing?
3. We've only been doing it for 3 years. And it's gone. It's, the first year was obviously a real grind. We just kept working. It was fun
though, dude.
It was fun, but we worked really hard, but we didn't work smart. Now we're working hard and smart, but I love what I do. I love what I do, and had a chance to take my boys to spring training in March, and have a whole road trip with them. That was a lot of fun. I enjoy being on KMBR, doing my Niner stuff there.
Yeah, and
I really enjoy helping my friends grow their channels and seeing all you guys see where this is, and it's a good thing. I mean, it really is. And
all kidding aside, dude, Larry, you're a class act. You're a genuinely good dude. And I'm saying this, describing you as a person in this muddled industry that is not full with good people. So it is an industry full of ego, selfishness, greed. And you're genuine, man. And I want to say that out loud because it needs to be said. You are, like, I don't call people a friend if there's a scummy element to them. There's nothing scummy about you. You're a genuinely good dude. I'm honored to call you friend. Thank you, brother. And everything you're doing for other people, at least I see it and I acknowledge it, and I can't thank you enough. Ryan,
I'm over here, and I there's just been so many kind, eloquent things being said, and I appreciate all of that stuff. But I also got to say that, my God, is this Houston-Purdue game great? Oh my God. Houston
Wow.
just
Is it really?
Yes, Purdue, because they were just down like
Switch
10.
over that.
Purdue
Is this
hit
still going on right now?
Yeah, Purdue hit a 3 with 28 seconds left to tie the game, and then Houston came down, had a pretty sweet move, kind of a push off, missed the jumper. Then the ball went out of bounds off the Purdue guy, and then Houston just ran an out of bounds play, scored with 0.9 seconds left. So now it's Purdue ball, 0.9 seconds left.
Down 2. Houston's up 2, huh?
Yeah, so it's probably a little bit too late now.
Look at Purdue. What a 3-year run, huh? 3 years ago, they get bounced in the first round by the 16 seed. Last year, they go to the actual final and get beat by Connecticut, and now they're pushing the number 1 seed in the Sweet 16 in a tournament that a lot of people think Purdue was never going to make the Sweet 16, and they're well coached, man. Good, well coached team.
Yeah.
Is the Comover guy still their head coach? What was that guy's name? Gene Keating?
Gene Keating's like 100 years old.
I know, I'm teasing. But remember, that guy was such a trip to me, man. I remember being like a kid going, how do you do that with your hair? And like,
He was a really nice guy, too. Really nice guy. I mean, I don't know, he might still be around, but I did an interview with him one time when at Sports Byline USA, and like before I ever came to KMBR in like the mid 90s. And he was just such a nice guy. Gene Katie.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and good stuff. Larry, on that note, any final thoughts before we close?
No, I'm just gonna say, hey, thanks to everybody. I'll be streaming tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Tomorrow, I'm gonna stream with a guy named John Chapman. Other than that, I'm gonna be watching my my freshman in high school play a little baseball doubleheader.
What position does he play?
He plays bench warmer on this team. That's how good this team is. This team is awesome. But yeah, he plays like infield. He's an infielder. But
there's 4 positions in the like. I was a second baseman. He doesn't have a specific.
Yes. No, he hasn't played hardly at all. He's on a really good team with a bunch of really good players, and he's not he's just an okay player. So that's all right. I told him. I said, hey, look. I told my kids, and I tell all my kids the same thing. And Frank, you've coached for years. I mean, you can definitely understand this. You play sports long enough, you're gonna be the star, and you're gonna be the bench warmer, and you should go about your approach to both teams should be identical. And that's what I always say to my team, my kids. It's like, if you play sports long enough, you'll be the best, you'll be the worst, and you'll be everything in between. It's not about if you're the best or if you're the worst. Just go out there, have fun, compete your ass off, and really play hard for your teammates. And that's it. And I tell my kids it's special. And you don't get to play team sports. I'm walking around, I'm 55. I'd love to play team sports and have that camaraderie and all those great relationships that I used to have. And it just, when you're 55, there's really nothing like that. So, you know what? If you're a kid and you're playing sports, they give you a uniform, bust your ass and have some fun. That's all.
Well, you don't look 55, by the way. You're aging fantastically. So bravo there.
Thank you.
Before we go, you're very welcome. Well deserved. Before we go, first of all, Bill M is in a bit of a mood tonight in the chat. Apparently he doesn't like Shardall. I apologize. We have fun. But I also wanted to throw this up there because he says you're humble, Larry, and that you the reason why you're achieving success on YouTube is because of your name. But I want to add to that, you have a name because of what you built, not anyone else. You weren't handed that hosting job at KNBR. You earned it. I was your producer from the very early days, and you made it because you actually have what it takes, dude. Like, you have talent, and I need that to be acknowledged.
Well,
like,
let me just say
you
this.
have a name for it.
And this is going to come across as more humility, but it's true. Nobody does it alone.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to KNBR by myself. My dad helped me. My mentors helped me. My scouting friends helped me. Nobody gets anywhere by themselves. Just never forget that.
That's right.
That's true. That's absolutely
shout
true.
Out. Let me say this. I'm a shout out my man Tony Cox in Sacramento. He was the guy who gave me my start.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah, Tony Cox gave me my start. I'll never forget it. And it opened the door to an opportunity that I took advantage of. But nobody gets there by themselves, man.
No.
Nobody.
Nope.
And on that note, happy birthday to a man who I don't know if I'd be here without him. and that's Rick Barry. Warriors legend turns 81 today.
Wow.
There's no other word to describe that. I'm just lucky to call him a friend. I am. And happy birthday to Rick, a Warriors legend. Again, he's grossly underrated as an NBA player. Frank, where would you rank him all time? I'm going to ask each of you three before we go. Where is Rick Barry in the annals of legacy of greatness in the NBA?
Definitely probably one of the top 7 to 10 small forwards all time.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Chris Mullin was one of my contemporaries, but one of my heroes. We looked at Mully when Mully was in Mully was a high school legend, right? Rick Barry was a better player to me. Watching Rick Barry, I think Rick Barry was a better player. He was more dominant. Chris Mullin was a better shooter, but Rick Barry was one of the most skilled players ever to play the game, and I don't think fans really know that. And I think his persona kind of precedes him. But basketball, he's a genius. He's one of the best broadcasters that I've ever heard. I'm a basketball savant in this respect. I have a lot of history. I've been listening to Rick. Bring the tapes up. When you listen to Rick Barry talking basketball, it's like going to Harvard. That dude knows basketball.
Yes,
so
sir.
I have tremendous respect for him as a player and as a basketball mind.
I'll say this, man, about Rick.
Yeah.
He's the great. I mean, I know this is going to sound odd, okay, but he's the greatest sire in the history of American sports.
You mean like that?
No, I mean he had his sons. I mean,
progeny. I'm sorry. I think you meant like a sigh of relief.
No. I mean, I'm just saying. Brent Barry, John Barry. Even Canyon played, college basketball. I mean, 2 sons to play in the NBA. I mean, Brent, John, Scooter was a very good player in high school.
Drew, right?
Yeah. Drew was good. Yeah.
Drew was the oldest, I think, right? Maybe.
He was 1 or 2.
Or no,
he's
he's one of the youngest.
Yeah.
But I mean, Brent and John right there. I mean, obviously you could say the same thing about Del Curry, but I was just partly joking. But Rick is, also Rick's a friend. I mean, Rick and I exchanged Christmas cards. We have ever since we worked together at KMBR.
Yeah.
And he's a really great guy. And as far as where is he as a basketball player, I think he's one of the greatest intermediate scorers the league's ever seen. He's as good a intermediate scorer as this league has ever seen in any era. And he could have played and starred in any era. He's a true great. He's truly one of the best, 50 to 100 players of all time.
He's officially top 50 all time. Yeah, he was named to the 50th anniversary team, named to the 75th anniversary team. I say he's top 20. I really do, man. Like we could do another show about where we rank who the greatest are. Like Rick, to me, slips in that top 20 for sure. But that's just me.
Let me say this. Listening to Rick Barry, I've never heard him say it, but you can tell by the way he talks about the game. There's no doubt in his mind that he was better than Dr. J. All right.
I never asked him about that. That's a good question.
I think he believes in his heart he was a better player than Dr. J.
He respects the shit out of Dr. J. That I can tell you for certain.
Oh no, I'm sure he does. Dr. J is.
And their friend. That's a great Frank. I'll ask him next time. I'll ask him that because I do have conversations with him a lot about scenarios like that. Like because he will go to the grave defending Wilt Chamberlain as one of the all-time greats. Like he's one of the Wilt defenders, and he gives Dr. J's flowers.
Who's attacking? I'd love to see who's not a Wilt fan.
Well, there's a lot of people who do denigrate him in the sense that
games to Russell. I mean, come on.
Well, because he only has 2 championships. Exactly. He only got the 2 rings, and Russell beat him a lot.
Yeah.
And he had the ego. Like he did think he was, he did cause problems sometimes. But Ryan, I don't know what your thoughts are about Rick Barry because you're like me. We have no memory of him ever playing. And Larry, I imagine you were just like a really little kid. Do you have memories actually of him playing? Like,
no. In fact,
okay, so
the 75 Warriors were the title team that made me a fan. But I mean, I didn't start following until I was 6, and it was 76. So I can remember. I'll never forget this. I used to, when I was a little kid, like 6 years old, I had a basketball court, it was like on a wooden basketball court, and I had those little basketball cards. There was like 3, and they had perforated edges, and they were real skinny cards. And I used to play like a 5-on-5 basketball game on this, just like in my head. And it was all based on the 75 Warriors. They were the champions, but this was 76. So like my favorite Warriors were World Be Free and Bernard King, because those were the guys that were great when I first started watching.
Frank, you talked about Rick as a broadcaster because he used to be like a color commentator for big games for CBS, TNT, TBS back in the 80s. Dude, were you old enough to watch him play? Like,
I was a little kid, but I was like 6, 7 years old. But again, I've been watching basketball for a long time. I love basketball, I watched Rick Barry, and I've watched him talk the game, and I don't know. I was kind of a weird kid in that was what I like to do. So I listened to him, and when I started playing,
that doesn't make you weird. Just for the record,
started to all make sense. So
that doesn't make you weird. I don't know why you said that.
Listen, my friend's gonna be mad at me if I don't make this movie on time. So I'm about to break out. But
go. Yeah, we're done. All right. Happy birthday, Rick Barry. Thanks, everyone. Warriors win. We're done. Go enjoy your movie. Thanks, everybody. Bye.